Attention all freaks. We are now boarding for the flight to Planet E. 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 Planet E.
And we are live. So what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us. We got a very special night, very special guest, the one and only Slammin Shaun. We've been working on this for it's been like a month and a half, right? Maybe like 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's when we started talking.
Yeah, so appreciate you coming on, man. Dude, it's going to be like a great conversation. So thank you guys for tuning in. We've got a couple housekeeping things to go over real quick. If you are in this video, if you went into the chat from another page other than Mixed Days, you need to sign out and go into the Mixed Days page, because otherwise I can't see your chat, and we kind of want this to be an interactive thing tonight. So if you went through the Ants Don't Sleep page or the Ant Crawler Marketing page or some other page like that, and you're hearing me say this, go into the Mixed Days page and go into the video that way, because that way we can see you guys in the chat. Otherwise, all the comments that you make, things like that, I'm not going to see them. So we won't be able to interact with you and things like that. And we definitely want to get some feedback from the fans and stuff like that. So that is one thing. Sound should be good. If the sound's not good, somebody let me know. It's hard to tell sometimes, but it sounded good when we heard that playback, so it was okay, I think so. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I want to give a shout out to Lauren and Brent. They made this shit happen. So you guys are the real MVPs here. So we had Lauren on, and then we started talking about, I don't even know how we started talking about you guys, you and Brent, and he was talking about how you guys were friends and stuff like that, and then I was like, dude, get Slammin Shaun on here, and then all of a sudden, like a couple days later, Brent watched the podcast, and then he messaged me and was like, I saw it, he's like, I'm going to hit up my brother and see if he wants to do it, and I was like, hell yeah, true that. But he did tell me what I had heard from other people is that you don't do shit anymore. So I have heard that from more than one person, that like you don't do gigs and stuff like that anymore. And then he reaffirmed that. So really appreciate you coming out for this, man.
My pleasure.
Then Brent and Lauren, thanks for making this shit happen for real, because this is definitely some cool stuff. So, but yeah, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I mean, I don't do, you are right, I don't do shit anymore. But
not this kind of stuff, that's what I meant.
I just don't, I've been largely out of the scene since 2007. So, you know, I think my brother probably assumed that I wouldn't want to do this. You know, it's a little bit like, you know, not that I'm Mike Tyson, but if you think about like any great fighter, I mean, Mike Tyson isn't going to jump back in the ring and fight anymore.
Right.
But he'll go on a podcast and talk about his fighting days.
Right. True that.
And so I kind of think of it like that. I mean, I'm not going to get back in the ring anymore, but happy to reflect and talk about all the stories and all the great times that we had.
Yeah, and people were excited for it, man. We had a very good internet reaction from this, and you know, I showed you the people posting pictures of the CDs and things like that. Boy. So it was cool, man. So I guess, you know, my first question, like I said, is, dude, like, where the fuck you been? where the fuck you been for the past, like, 10 years? Because, you know, like, a lot of DJs that I knew about from a while ago, like, I've seen them. since then.
Right.
I haven't seen you. I'm just so you know, Shaun and I have never met before today.
Yeah, no, this is the first time.
We talked on the phone, and that was it. So it's like it's interesting that you were so popular and putting out so much music in these CDs and things like that, and being on the radio, and then like all of a sudden, dude, boom, you're gone.
Yeah.
So where you been?
Well, I mean, for the last, since 2007, I guess I've been living a pretty conventional, middle-class, basic lifestyle with my family. I have a wife and 2 kids, Liam and Noah. They're 8 years old and 4 years old, and I am a banking executive, so the chief lending officer of a bank.
Nice.
I think, for the last, going back 10 years ago, I mean, I had to make a choice. I mean, at some point, I couldn't have a dual track with banking and with the DJ world. And I think at some point I just asked myself, could I picture myself being a 60-year-old DJ shutting down clubs at 3 and 4 in the morning?
Walking out with your cane and shit.
Yeah, pretty much. But could I be a 50 or 60-year-old banker? And the answer is absolutely yes. Yeah. So I like to think of myself as not one-dimensional, and banking is always who I was. DJing was a great chapter of my life, and like any book, a book consists of multiple chapters, and I did not want my life to be defined by just this. It's a big part of who I am, and actually prepared me and made me who I am. Actually helped me out in the banking world a lot, but at some point it was ready to, it was time to turn the page and move on to the next chapter.
Right. So were you sad to hang up the headphones? Or were you ready to get out?
No, I was ready. Yeah. I had pretty much, I had accomplished everything that I had personally set out to do, which, quite frankly, I accomplished a lot more than what I had set out to do, because, I mean, I'm just a kid from Port St. Lucie. I never thought we'd be here talking about this in the year 2020.
Right.
I mean,
True that.
I mean, I never,
that's cool.
I did not take it nearly as seriously as probably people thought I did. I always looked at myself as a hobbyist, and it just so happened that I did well with it and had a bigger following than I ever thought I would ever have, and for that I'm grateful. I appreciated everybody who enjoyed whatever it was I was doing. I appreciated all of them, but at some point when I walked away, I think I walked away not sad, but satisfied.
Right. So, like I was saying before, I didn't realize how big you were until I started planning for this. Because, I was doing internet research and things, and I sent you those websites that had your old website on there, and then stuff from when you were doing the clubs down in West Palm and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then I found that YouTube station that you have, and then I started hearing the radio things, and then all the CDs, and I'm like, I didn't realize that you were just that well known, because I had worked at Tape Deck, like we were talking about before, and so there was records there, and then the CDs, a lot of bootleg CDs were there and stuff, and yours were there, and it was just okay, that's just how it is right now, not realizing that you were one of the most popular DJs around. But after we were talking out in front of Sailfish, now I understand how much work you were putting in to do that, to make that happen. Like you said, you were working regular job, and then all day, or the rest of the day, rest of the night, into to leave at 4:30 in the morning and start it over again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the thing that is so crazy is that I didn't realize how popular I was. I mean, I'm still not even comfortable describing myself like that. I know I had a following, and I know that there were a lot of CDs sold. I know, for a time there we had the radio show. I was working at a lot of clubs. But I guess it was because I was working so much, I was just oblivious to what my fandom was, or what have you. I was never actually comfortable with all of that. I enjoyed music. I loved playing. I loved playing for crowds. But to this day, it's still one of those things I try to wrap my head around. I never forget the first time somebody walked up into the DJ booth and had a Global Groove CD and said, "Can you sign this?"
Yeah.
There is nothing that prepares you for that. And the thing that I needed to make sure of back then was that I did not let that go to my head, because it's very easy to begin to believe your own bullshit.
Right.
And the thing that I tried to do, and I can't say that I always did it well, was I tried to stay humble and really keep a perspective on life and realize that, this isn't going to last forever.
Right. For
and
real.
I might as well just take this ride while I can and enjoy the experience. And, maybe when I'm 70, 80 years old, I'll look back and say, man, that was just a great life. Just driving here, I haven't listened to any of my CDs in probably 10 years. And I was driving here tonight listening to a CD, and it gave me a little goosebumps and brought me back. And I was like, yeah, damn, I was pretty good, wasn't I? But it was actually enjoyable to listen to. It brings back a lot of nostalgia, brings back a lot of old feelings. But yeah, I feel very at peace and satisfied with whatever it was I did.
Right.
And I'm just glad that people still remember it.
So let's talk about the CDs. Like we'll get right into that, and then we'll circle around to a bunch of other stuff. So Global Groove. I mean, that was the series that probably is the most well known, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would agree with that? Okay. So how did that come about? And then I'm interested also in the actual production of the CDs and like that whole thing of how they were distributed and like, Special Ed's on there, or was it Special Ed Productions or Short Bus Productions?
Short Bus, yeah.
That's what it is, Short Bus Productions. So let's talk about how you Global Groove started, and then like who was helping you with that, and then like the production side of it too.
Well, I wish that I could tell you that there was this big fancy studio with all this cool equipment and all of that, but there wasn't. These were recorded at Special Ed's house, and it was in his bedroom, and it was really just a jerry-rigged setup.
Who is Special Ed?
Gosh, it's been so long, I can't remember Ed's last name. It's killing me. But
Does it start with an S?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's been years. I mean, it's probably been 15 years since I've even talked to him. But there were two guys that worked at Sound Insights in Jensen Beach, for those who remember Sound Insights, and it was Matt McConnell and Ed, and they were both managers or assistant managers or whatever, and good friends, and I was friends with them, and I knew they had a setup, and I just wanted to make a CD of my favorite music for myself.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. I said, hey, do you mind if I go over there? And I didn't own a CD burner. I didn't own a computer.
And
it was crazy.
Around what year was this?
This would have been probably 98.
Okay.
This would have been 1998. Okay. And went over to their house, went over to Ed's house, and just brought my CDJs and plugged it into his CD burner. I mean, it was a really, really mess. It's crazy. And just laid a mix down, and that was it. And I was making it for myself, so I wasn't really worried about what anybody thought of it. I wasn't worried about how it sounded technically.
Was it called Global Groove?
Well, that's what we ended up calling it. So, I wanted to make a label. When it was done, they had some labeling program. I mean, for those who have the CDs, you can see it's basically a paper label.
That's it.
Stuck,
I mean, it's definitely, it's hard to see with the lighting, but it's definitely some homemade stuff.
Yeah.
For sure, dude. It's
1998.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for 98, this is advanced shit right there.
It was, man.
Yeah.
We were way ahead of our time. And so anyway, I made it, and they said, what name do you want to put on it? And I don't know, we just kind of off the cuff. I said, just call it Global Groove. That was it. And there was no thought. There was no contemplation of it. There was no pondering of it. It was just strictly, hey, want to put a name on it? And I was like, yeah, just Global Groove.
Okay.
And so they did that, and I think they made it just for me, but they asked me for permission. They said, do you mind if we sell these? And I was like, to who? First of all, who would want to buy it?
Right.
I didn't. I was like, why would anybody want to buy this? I mean, I just made this for me.
They were there. You mixed it live, and they were there recording it.
Yeah.
So they heard it, and so after it was done, they're like, "Do you want to sell it?" Or like after?
No. They didn't even say it that night. I think Ed called me up a couple days later and said, "Hey, do you mind if we just sell these?" They had they were selling some of these CDs out of Sound Insights, out the back door or whatever. And I think this is before the clothing stores and the tape decks and all of them were selling it.
Get into that
Yeah. So they just, maybe a couple days later, a week later, they just asked me if I'd mind, see how it would do.
Right.
And it did extremely well. And the reason it did extremely well was because I had a track that was unavailable in it, and I think the one track that sold that CD was a track by Sonique called "It Feels So Good."
Oh yeah,
and it was a white label.
Yeah,
and I had picked it up at Danceterium down in Palm Beach, and I heard it, and I knew. I was like, "Whoa, this is incredible!"
Yeah,
and I had them burn it to a CD for me, and took it with me, and I included that in the mix because I was such a fan of the song. I was
Right.
every track on there I was a fan of. So I was
Right.
just making it for me,
Right.
just to have something to listen to while I was driving around. Because most of the mix CDs that were out there at the time, I was like, okay, I liked half of it, the other half I
Right.
didn't like. So hey, I'm
Right.
just going to make one
Yep.
of my own.
Yep.
I didn't, at that point, I did not have much of a technical ability. It was good enough to mix together, but you can, for the average ear, they won't hear it. But a
Right.
guy like you can
Right.
go back and listen to it and definitely hear there's a little bit of
Yeah.
a little bit of technical deficiency in the early CDs.
Right.
And but that puts any rumors to rest that these were made and produced on a computer. I
Right.
mean, these were live. This
Yeah.
was not Memorex.
And I thought, see, before this conversation we had earlier, before we started, I thought you were mixing the stuff on vinyl. So that was like, I was like, damn, I'm like, if it sounds like this on vinyl, I'm like, damn, he's like the man. But dude, even on CDJs, they sounded good. I have that Sonic record in this pile right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually played it the other night.
Yeah.
It's on it's actually a record that has like 3 or 4 different songs on it, but that's one of them on there.
Well,
Yeah, that is the
selling
jam,
it.
dude.
Well, they were selling it, and I guess they started selling it at Detour or Traffic or whatever it was called at the time. I think they went through a name change, but I guess people were flooding in, and they didn't even know the name of the track. And
Yeah,
they were just like,
yeah.
we want that CD that's track number 5.
Right, yeah,
And that was
yeah,
it. I mean, that's
yeah,
all they knew. And there was a
yeah.
lot of great tracks on there besides that, but it was just something I made for myself, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Because I remember that. Was that song on another CD that you did though too?
No,
Sonic?
no. Global Groove 2 had another Sonic track, but it was a different track. I think that
Okay.
one was called Sky.
Okay, damn, maybe I did hear the first one then, because I remember that Sonic song being on one of them. So that was, I remember Sound Insights. I remember I go there. I knew some guy who was working there who used to build boxes and stuff like that. So
there you have it. Thank you, Sonic. I appreciate everything you did for me.
So that was the beginning. So how often were you releasing those CDs?
I was probably releasing them at a rate of 2 per year.
Wow.
Yeah, I was probably
Okay.
and the reason I did that, and there were guys that were pushing CDs out faster than that. I think once Global Groove 1 was made, and we saw the potential, whatever it was I stumbled onto, whatever format, whatever recipe, whatever it was, we decided to duplicate it again. So Global Groove 2 was actually made consciously with a thought towards selling it to local people.
And so at that time, that was breaks.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mix. I mean, it's not just all breaks. I mean, there's some trance in there as well, and some other things. But
that's when in Florida that shit was going. That was like the come up right there, like the mid to the late '90s when like breaks and stuff like that were like on the radio. Somebody was on the radio. They were having the big ass, parties in Orlando, the warehouse parties and shit like that.
Yeah.
So that was like prime time
Right.
to release a CD like that with, I guess, newer technology of
Right.
the burning and the labeling and stuff. So it's like one of those. Oops, sorry, my bad. It's one of those convergences of like technology, music, things like that. Just happen to be at the right place and the right time.
And because I could pick any track I wanted, it was better than anything you were going to buy at Specs Music.
Right,
if
yeah.
anybody remembers
Yeah.
Specs. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's these were underground, these were bootleg. I was just basically I was curating the best 12 or 13 tracks that I felt were out there, putting them together in an order that I thought created an experience, and then just kind of put the technical ability behind it, and boom, the rest was history.
No, that's awesome. So how many Global Grooves were there?
There was a total of 11.
11. Okay.
I don't even know if Sound Insights sold the 11th one. I think they might have got up to 10, and then maybe I just made 11 for myself and my friends, because by then I was starting to fade out. But yeah, there was a total of 11.
What year was that last one?
That was probably 04.
Okay.
That was probably 2004. So I was putting them out at a rate of about 2 per year, and the reason I did that was that I didn't want to be in a rush to put them out every 2 months, because then you're sacrificing the quality of the tracks.
Yeah, no, that's a lot, yeah.
And so if I could store up good tracks for 6 months, I would have 13 or 14 bangers that would just, you could play through. And, the thing about these CDs were that they were really, I made them originally for me to drive around with.
Right.
So I made them with the idea that people would drive around and listen to them. So they were, they kind of had a radio-friendly element to it. They were vocal-centric.
Right. Uplifting. Like, I had made some notes. I'm like, I wrote ravey shit.
Yeah.
euphoric sounding ravey
Yeah.
stuff, like that kind of like, you know, in which I like that stuff. It has its place, you know, like especially during a party, like dude, when it's peak hour, you know, and like everybody, like dude, you want to hear that kind of blow up stuff, you know. So like, did you ever play Castles in the Sky?
Yeah, that's on Global Groove 5 or 6
like
or one
shit
of them,
like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I actually have that record over there too.
You know, the guys are very smart. I mean, we're programmed a certain way, and these were obviously very popular with females. I mean, that was my niche, because all the other DJs were playing. You know, they were playing. They had their niche.
Right.
Sometimes I felt like some of the guys had their niche was their other DJ friends, which is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I mean, it does. I mean, there was a lot of great mixes out there, but the market that I was going after was the female market,
Yeah.
and I knew that, you know, putting it out, you know, putting a vocal centric crossover type mix would not only be popular with females, but as a result would be popular with the males who want to get with them.
Right.
So that was, you know, that's just the way things go.
Dude, that's reflected on the advertising that we did for this event. A lot of girls were commenting about how these were like their favorite CDs back then. Some of those pictures were from females. So for sure, that's definitely a good strategy. So well, that's cool, man. The whole CD production thing was interesting to me. Like, so you would just go over there, lay down the mix with them.
Yep.
And then they would take care of everything after that.
They would take care of everything.
So were you getting money off of that?
Well, let's see. I think the IRS look-back period is 7 years.
Right.
So the answer, yes. So yes, I was.
True.
Yes, there was some cash involved.
And I didn't really mean it like that. I just meant like, were they just taking all of the, you know, because they're taking care of the production and distribution and all that stuff, and they're like, no, we're not giving you nothing. We're handling everything, or they were giving you a kickback on it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I mean the unwritten agreement that we had was $1 per CD came to me.
Okay.
And you know, you couldn't. I mean, these CDs you paid cash for. So the fact that people were paying cash for the CDs, maybe I got $1 per CD, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I love Matt and Ed, and they did a great job. And you know, the CDs were interesting because it isn't about, you know, getting $1 a CD here or there. None of that matters. It definitely created a following, and that I was eventually able to monetize that following. I mean, you know, if you would have told me in 1998 that I'd be on the radio and that I'd be playing at some of the biggest clubs down in Palm Beach regularly as a resident, 3 nights a week, I'd have said, no way.
Yeah.
I mean, but the truth is, in a short span of time, I went from hobbyist to, you know, working 3-4 nights a week at some of the hottest clubs down there, 6-7 hours a clip.
So some of these CDs, maybe all of them do, they have this phone number on them. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's
they should call it.
So yeah, I'm gonna call them right. I'm gonna call it right now. So it says for booking info, call 561-554-SLAM. SLAM. All right. So
It's all about marketing.
So. And it's on. I mean, I have the Transformer ones. It's not on Special What's Obviously Not You. I don't know if that was on all the Global Groove ones. Was it?
I don't think all of them.
Okay.
I think well, so first of all, 561-554-SLAM was a pager.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay. It's not even a real phone number.
No,
Okay.
but it wasn't just.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't just an ordinary pager. It wasn't just a pager you dialed and went beep beep beep. No. This was a pager, and I said, "Hey, you have reached Slammin Shaun. Please leave your name and number." And you could leave a voice message on the pager.
Shit. So how
and then
would
I would
you...
I'd have to retrieve it. So the way it worked was you called your pager number, and there was like a code or something. I don't
okay,
even
like
remember. It's
voicemail
been so
in
long.
an office.
Yeah.
You call
pretty
your
much.
phone number, and then you
My pager was my voicemail,
Wow.
and then from there you'd call them back from your home telephone.
Did you call people back?
Oh, always. I mean, yeah. No, I called everybody back.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fucking awesome.
and I got a great, you know, a lot of interesting phone calls.
I bet that's why I'm asking if you called everybody.
Sometimes it
back.
was sometimes it was people looking to book you, and sometimes it was, you know, people
partying and shit.
Yeah, you know,
right.
hey dude,
we're listening to your CD right now.
All right on, man.
Yeah,
Keep up the good work.
No, so did it beep every time you got a voice message?
No, it vibrated.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
man,
it was like pretty consistent.
Oh no, I mean I was pretty active there for a while. I was getting a lot of, you know, and I got some hate mail too. You know, that's just comes with the territory.
So I'm gonna call this number right now. We're gonna see what the fuck happens with this. I have no
idea.
I don't know if this is
I hope a poor 80-year-old lady doesn't open it.
It definitely
doesn't answer.
It has to. It can't be a cell phone. SLAM. I love that. Did you pick the number?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
A beeper depot.
Oh, shit. I never had a pager.
No?
Never had. I went straight to cell phone. So you get to pick your own number when you have a beeper, I guess, right? That's what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
SLAM.
You could in those days.
All right, let's see what happens when we call this bitch.
Please check the number and dial again. SPOK.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
All right, that's
it's probably
it.
been
Damn.
it's the same message for 12 years.
Oh, shit. So anybody who was hoping to get a hold of him, Slammin Shaun, is not going to happen.
Yep,
Damn.
that's it.
That's hilarious, though, that it was a
Yeah, I
pager.
did upgrade from a pager to a cell phone eventually.
All right, cool.
So, you know.
Did you have the giant one?
No, I
Okay.
never had that. I did have some big flip phone that was analog. What a lot of people don't know about me is 1996, I was actually selling cellular phones for Central Florida Cellular when they were still around, and was selling at a kiosk in Walmart. So this was pre Slammin Shaun. So so I was up on the latest technology with cell phones, but in 1998 and 99 that really wasn't saying much.
Fucking beeper, dude. So we're gonna look at the chat real quick. I know it's hard to keep up with the chat and everybody what you guys are saying in there. So we're gonna go through the chat and see if we got questions, things like that. If anybody has anything they want to say, hit us up. I'm gonna start at the beginning and see. All right. So yeah, Brent. We're definitely coming out with that.
Don't worry. There is a
it's
special
coming.
toast
It's
coming your way
It's-
later. Don't you worry.
Don't worry. We got it. Let's see. Would you say his CDs are now considered collector's items? I don't know. I don't know. I know they're on YouTube.
Well, if by collector's item you mean collecting dust on a shelf, that's My wife, I didn't even know she had these, and it turned out that I've got. I didn't even know I had my own CDs. I kind of was going through them. It was a Global Groove 1.
Yeah, you got Global
2,
Groove 1 in there.
3,
I've never
4.
even heard it.
I've got 6. Apparently, I don't have 5. I got a couple of number 7s. A 10, 11. I've got a CD here that predates Global Groove. A couple Transformers, a couple other odds and ends. But man, I had to blow the dust off this thing. I mean, so yeah.
But you said you still have your CDs though too, with your tracks on them that you played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Doug said Sean's still handsome. Look at old Dougie Fresh in there. What's up, Doug?
I always liked you.
When you're not scared, come back on the show. Let's see who else. Brent. Like I said, Brent, I gave you a shout out, dude, in the beginning. If you didn't hear it, thanks for helping to make this happen, man.
Yeah,
Really
appreciate that.
it.
Thank you.
Oh, DJ Random. PSL Random Radio.
Oh, is he
Greg
on?
Davis.
Oh man.
He had made some comments and stuff on the event page and things. He told me to give you a shout out and say what's up.
Yeah, no, Random's a good friend of mine. It's hello, Greg, and actually I'm indebted to him because I have a recording of one of the last gigs that I ever played. It was at the Refuge in Stewart. And I was really trying to bring a new sound to the Treasure Coast. This was 2006, and I had it in my mind that I was just going to play what I played in Palm Beach, and I thought that the Treasure Coast was beginning to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Maybe not completely ready. Maybe some of it would be a little unusual, but I brought a little bit of that up here, and he recorded it. And actually, So I have that recording, which I'm very indebted to you for. So I'm going to get that out on YouTube one of these days because I'm afraid that if I let it sit around too much longer, I won't be able to digitize it on YouTube. And, these things mean a little bit more to me now today than they did back when it was all happening at the time. So
I definitely understand that. When I have flyers that I looked at from parties I did like 10, 12 years ago, I'm like, I was never somebody who was like, I should save my flyers.
Right.
And then now that I have a couple laying around and stuff, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have saved the other ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Slammin Shaun has his own YouTube channel in case you didn't know. It's Slammin Shaun, one word. If you want to see some of the stuff that he just said, it's on there. There's that video from the Refuge for that party is on there.
Yeah.
And it was fucking packed.
Yeah, no, that was busy because I hadn't played a show up here in a long time. I was always down south, and so I came up and did a special show, and we promoted it hard, and we were at capacity.
Yeah,
at
Robin
the
Fox
Refuge.
was there.
Robin
so
Fox.
we're gonna segue right in. So I wasn't planning on doing this right now, but since we're on the topic, so we got some pictures. I got just 3 pictures from that event.
This ought to be good.
So it's actually pretty hilarious. So we'll run them through.
Oh, there's Robin
yeah,
Fox.
So tell us about that with your frosted tips.
Oh man, well hey man, I was it, baby.
You were,
man,
you were.
I was
I get it.
So you got
Shout out to your hairdresser.
Still had the Ricky Martin frosted tips going on, and that's Robin Fox. She's a Billboard recording artist. She lived in Palm Beach, and she and I became friends.
She did I See Stars. That's like the most famous song that I know of hers.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was on Global Groove 2 for those who are wondering. But she was a really, really cool individual, very down to earth. And I'll never forget because she, not only did she show up and she was the guest host for this event, but she brought a live chicken with her.
Oh, shit.
I mean,
okay.
that was... but that's how she was, man. She was like an apple on an orange tree.
Right.
So she was
eccentric. Yeah, I mean, her songs were good, man. I've listened to them a lot. So we got this one, which is behind the DJ booth.
Yep.
So tell me about this setup. Well, tell me who's in it. So that's your brother? That's Brent?
Yeah, that looks like Brent.
That's Robin Fox.
That's Robin Fox. The guy in the middle, that's Nick DeRoy, good friend of mine I've known for years. And
there's Frosted Tips. Sean
that's
right
it,
there.
man.
Tell me about this setup right here. What is this?
I mean, that was the refuge. I think that was the house setup for the refuge. So I kind of had to adapt to what they had. But they had CDJs. And
are these CDs right here?
Yeah, that's my CD case. Yeah. So I had them in.
You had them in cases?
Yeah.
No, you didn't bring a CD book?
No.
Really?
No. I had them in cases because it was like I could flip through
Oh,
them.
like records.
Right.
Oh, I never thought about that. See,
Right.
I carried around big ass books with like that held like 200
Yeah.
CDs. So
Well,
I would be like, blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
and then they fly out the top,
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
yeah.
So when you, so I
shit,
had actual
okay.
CD sleeves, and they were marked, and I could flip through,
Okay.
and I had them organized in such a way.
Okay. That's cool. That's an interesting little relic right there.
Yeah,
I
so you
didn't,
can see the ones that you see that are kind of diagonal. Those are the ones that I kind of figured out. You know what? Those are the ones I had on deck, or I
Okay.
was thinking about playing.
Right, gotcha. Like when you're same thing with a record. You put the sleeve on the side, and then you pull.
Yeah, that was a great show. There's DJ Chaos, my
Yep.
brother Brent.
Shout out to
He
Brent.
was,
making this happen.
he a lot of respect to him. He was still in the Marines at this point, and he was. I can't remember. He could probably type it in. I can't remember the circumstances that he was home, but there he is. you
Yeah.
know.
So that was at the refuge. So I have a refuge story. Oh, not that one. So the refuge got sold or closed down, right?
Yeah,
and
Bill
then
Kruger.
It got sold,
yeah, Bill Kruger was the owner, and I guess
It closed, and then this guy that I had worked for before throwing parties, him and some other dude went in and took it over, and they started calling it Redemption. And so I figured this is probably like 6 or 7 years ago. So my friend Jose and I threw a couple parties there, and one of them was Baby Ann.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the radio. We had a commercial on the radio, 95.5, dude, and we put like 500 people in that bitch, like well over capacity. And it was fucking great. So we had her there, and then we had Exact. You know who Exact is? Larry McCormick? Okay. He was like an electro guy from down south.
Oh, cool.
Had DJ X
Wow.
and Shiraz there.
Wow.
So we ran some parties there, a couple through
That's
there.
a good lineup.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, so they were different parties, but DJ X and Shiraz were the same night.
Wow.
We had them there together, yeah.
Wow.
Shiraz played a live set, which is basically like they have this Akai board, which literally has a bunch of buttons on it. But when you hit one, it plays whatever the sound bite is in time with whatever's playing. So it's like live remixing, on the fly. Some of them are beats, some of them are the vocals, the snare, shit like that.
Right.
Played a crazy live set. DJ X fucking killed it. Like, it was cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had, do you know who George Acosta is?
Oh, absolutely.
We had him there, too.
Had a heavy
Acosta.
influence on me, actually.
Yep, he was there. It was cool. So we had some good parties there.
Wow.
Hundreds of people. It was fun. Good times.
It was a great room.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a very you could do a lot with that place.
And so the Baby M party, it was a female DJ lineup. We called it what was it, Breaks and Heartbreaks or something like that.
Oh, cool.
So it was Baby Ann and then all breaks or female breaks DJs that were there.
That's cool.
It was fun. Trip the circuit breaker. We had so much shit running in there, dude. Trip the killed the power of the whole fucking place, dude. Had to reset everything.
Nothing will suck the air out of the room like that, man.
Seriously, it's like,
all good.
Man, like, what do you do now? So, all right, so we'll get back to the chat real quick. So Brent, dude, we're definitely gonna have you on here whenever all this shit's over with, and we can have
sooner the better.
Yeah, for real. So, Doug's like, I'm technically retired now, but yes, for sure. Yeah.
Temporarily retired.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, somebody just found a purple CD that you signed.
Oh wow. Yeah, that And let me tell you, that is something that I really struggled with for myself. I mean, I'm just Sean Williams from the Treasure Coast, man. I'm
Right.
but signing CDs and that sort of thing, that was always strange to me because it's not like I'm a celebrity or the president. There's just something about doing that that's I don't know. I mean,
it's outside of like your normal reality.
Right.
You're in a different level of reality when like people are coming to you and say, "Hey,
would you sign this? It would mean
I
a
want
lot.
your
Can you sign this for my kid?" Or it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's that takes a little getting used to.
Yeah. So I see Lauren's in here finally,
All right,
showing
what's
up
up,
late.
Lauren?
So Lauren, what's up,
He
man?
always shows up late.
Yeah, I guess so, dude. So he was actually on time for our stuff though, but let's see. So Lauren, dude, I gave a shout out earlier, man, for you and Brent. So hopefully you're still listening and you heard it. But let's see. Doug, ask Sean about the lock-ins at Thunderskate.
Yeah, no, we were talking about that. There, I guess, Doug, you would know that there's a conversation that happens before the show begins, and that's, believe me, for those of you listening and watching, you want to be in on that conversation,
right.
but we can't go there, man.
Yeah.
That's the real conversation.
Yeah.
But no, it's there was some great lock-ins. Doug, I was telling a story about Doug. The first time I ever saw Doug play was a house party on Rosso Boulevard, and I don't know if Doug, if you remember this, you can type, but it was my current brother-in-law. He was still in high school, and I mean, I'm still, 21 years old maybe, and I'm starting to get to the age where you really don't want to be seen around high school parties
Seriously,
anymore.
dude, contributing to the delinquency of minors is real.
But it was important to him. I took him out on the town, and he knew about this party on Rosso Boulevard, and I walk in, and there's Doug Poole playing. It's a packed living room.
Right.
I mean, it's like a real high school party, and I don't remember the name of the artist, Doug, Brent. One of you will remember it, but it was that hip hop track.
Yeah.
Left, left, left,
I'll look that
left,
shit up.
right, left. Okay, I just remember walking in, and that's what was playing, and he had it bumping. And as soon as I walk in, drama. That's right. And
I remember that.
I walk in and I see. And I see Doug, and he sees me walk in, and Doug, I mean this affectionately. He like got this nervous look on his face, but then a look of excitement, and then he embarrassed me because he goes on the microphone and says, "Oh my God, guys, Slammin Shaun just arrived." And I swear to God, Doug, you actually said this. Maybe you remember this, but it always stuck with me. He's like, "You guys need to worship him," and I'm like, "Oh!" I wanted to like crawl into my shell because
For real.
I always try to wake up and eat a little humble pie, but that was like, whoa. But I appreciated it because I know maybe it came out clunky, but I knew what he meant, and I ran into Doug maybe a year ago at Starbucks, and he told me, he said I was an inspiration to him, and I still try to wrap my head around the fact that I inspired a guy who played in 20 countries.
Yeah, Doug's pretty famous now, man. He's got people following him around like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool.
I think
Shout
that's
out to
just
Doug.
awesome. I just think that's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, stuff like that means something.
Yeah, I had said earlier, Doug calibrated my turntables, the first pair of turntables that I actually bought. It might have been these.
Is that what's wrong with them?
Right. From the guy that don't know how to play records,
sorry,
only CDs. So these were, I guess maybe it was these. They've been rebuilt since then. But yeah, he came over to my house and adjusted the weight and shit like that because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So yeah, appreciate that, Doug.
Cool.
So all right, let's talk about your DJ name.
Slammin Shaun, yeah. So if there was any greater evidence that I wasn't taking this seriously, just I give to you Exhibit A, my DJ name, and any aspiring underground techno EDM DJ. That's probably the last name they would pick. I mean, Slammin Shaun. That sounds
it is a little cheesy.
It sounds like a wedding DJ name, but that's what a lot of people don't know about me. Is that's how I got started.
Right.
I started out as a wedding DJ, doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, and corporate parties for Paragon Entertainment. Shout out to DJ Lou. So that's how I got started. So I was doing those types of things. My first club gig, if you want to call it that, was at a pool hall. It wasn't Breakers, for those of you who remember Breakers, but it was in Port St. Lucie. It was on US 1. It was south of Prima Vista Boulevard, north of Village Green, but it was on the west side of US 1, and I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. It might have been called Billiards, how original. But I was working with this was something that Exotic E was doing, and he was going to have me open for him at this party, and it was a bunch of JBLs on a stick and a little a cheap getup, and he said, so what name do you want to go by tonight? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, you got to have a DJ name. I was like, oh, I mean, when I was doing the weddings and the corporate parties, I mean, I'm just Sean.
Right, yeah. I'm Sean, your wedding host.
Yes.
See table 1, see table 2, see table 3. The buffet is open.
That's it. You may help yourself to a drink or cocktail at this time. So anyway, I grew up in South Florida, Broward County, Margate to be exact, and grew up listening to Power 96. That was a big influence on me. And one of the DJs that was on the mix shows was a DJ named Slammin Felix Sama. They just called him Slammin Sama for short. Okay. So Eric made me nervous, put me on the spot. I had to have a DJ name, and Slammin Shaun was what popped out. And that's it.
All right.
That is. There was again, just like Global Groove. There was no thought process.
2
was
minutes,
no rhymer.
dude. Came up with your DJ.
It was just. It was 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like he just said, "What am I going to call you?" And I'm like, Slammin Shaun. And actually, he said, "Yeah, we'll go with that."
Okay.
And he's like, I don't know how Slammin Sama feel about that, but you go for it.
Yeah.
Take his name. And I was like, all right, because. Who knew? I mean, I thought I was just playing a party at a pool hall and had no idea I'd ever be on the radio and had no idea I'd be at the Liquid Room or any of these places in Palm Beach. So, I mean, if there was ever any greater evidence that I really wasn't taking it that seriously in the beginning, that it was truly a hobby for me, was just look at my DJ name.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
And you know what? It stuck. People
it
liked
served
it.
you well though, dude.
It
It
did.
It's 2 S's. Like Slammin. Dude, it served you well.
Yeah,
sure.
there's a good alliteration there for sure. But it's not like infinity or eternal.
It doesn't have like some deeper meaning.
Or chaos or it's just Slammin Shaun.
And it fit though. It's good for the radio. And
it worked because I continued to do weddings and parties and corporate events and that sort of thing. So
did you call yourself Slammin Shaun at your weddings?
Yeah, because there were plenty of.
That's awesome.
Well, there was plenty. There was Dancin' Dave. There was Jumpin' Junior. Slammin Shaun,
Dave the Wave.
That's it.
Yeah,
so it all fit.
So you mentioned Exotic E.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Exotic E.
Yeah.
Talked about him at length on here, man. Super cool guy.
Yeah.
Talk about how you met him. That's a good story.
Wow. I met Exotic E and knew him for about 5 months and had no idea who he was. I was working as a bank teller at Barnett Bank, and this is 1997. And there was a guy that came into the bank on a weekly basis at least. He was an assistant manager of Walgreens in Port St. Lucie at the corner of Midport Road and Port St. Lucie Boulevard, and not where the Walgreens is now, but when it used to be over in the Publix Plaza. And he would come over. He was assistant manager, make the deposits for Walgreens, but I just knew him as Eric. I just knew there was this nice guy that came in named Eric, and we'd talk, and like any banker, you get to know your customers, and you talk about. He said he was married, had a kid, and that sort of thing. And I think little EJ was. I mean, he was still a baby at that point, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was extremely young. And anyway, this went on for maybe 4 or 5 months, and I happened to be the regular teller that waited on him. And I don't know how it came up, but somehow it came up. Somehow Broward County came up. And that's where he's from. He's from Fort Lauderdale. I'm from Fort Lauderdale / Margate. And we were just kind of reminiscent about Broward County. And I told him that the thing that I missed most about Broward County living down there was that you could turn on the radio and hear really good music. That Wild 95.5 or whatever it was called at that time. It really is like, it's pop music. But, we grew up listening to Power 96, 99 Jams.
Right.
And he said, "Oh yeah, you like Power 96? Oh, you're a big DJ Laz fan." I said, "Oh, of course. Everybody down south
Red
was."
alert, motherfucker.
And he says, "Well, I Laz is a friend of mine." And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, okay, buddy." I'm like, "Yeah, sure he is, right?" Yeah. Because again, if you met Eric and you see him, heavy guy, blonde. Yeah. I mean, he just looks like a white boy.
Right. Yeah.
And
Not
Anyway,
a badass turntablist.
No.
That'll fuck your whole party up.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it was just like it was just crazy. And he said no. He said yeah, I was actually one of DJ Laz's DJs. Now I'm thinking this guy's a total Pinocchio. I mean now his nose is grown out there here.
Yeah.
No, and then I said well what was your DJ name? He said Exotic E. And I was like whoa.
Oh shit.
Whoa. You mean to tell me you're Exotic E from the Journey into Bass album? And he's like, yeah, that's me. And and I guess he just had a look of sincerity about him. And for everybody who knows him, you know that look that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I instantly knew, like, oh my God, this guy, he's Exotic E.
And there's no like, let me Google this motherfucker.
No, there was none of that. You
yeah.
couldn't do that on your flip phone.
Yeah.
So I don't even think Google existed. But anyway, we just started talking about music and the bass scene. The Miami bass scene was obviously a big deal. Freestyle music. I grew up listening to that. TKA, Johnny O, Cynthia. All of these things had a profound impact on me. And anyway, he gave me his home telephone number when we still had home telephones, and wanted to hang out. So he lived, I think, off Walton Road, and went over there, and we hung out for a while, and the rest was history. I mean, he was
That's awesome.
he was. I knew him as Eric for a long, long time, and it's easy to like someone if you know who they are. But he was an extremely likable person when
Hell
you
yeah.
did not know who he was. But it taught me
Right.
one of life's most valuable lessons, and that is that you cannot judge a book by its cover. Because if you would have thought this guy, again, Eric was not pictured in the Journey into Bass album. I never had seen the videos of the DMC competitions.
Right.
I just
From
heard
like
about them.
93.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had no visual reference point for this guy, and
Yeah.
but he was so sincere. I believed him instantly, and we became friends. But yeah, you can't judge a book by its
Yeah,
cover.
yeah.
That is absolutely true in life.
Totally awesome guy, man. He, like I said, I booked him a couple times, and like definitely one of the coolest guys I've ever booked. Just came in, super awesome, very positive about the party, like what was going on.
Yep.
Was out on the dance floor dancing and stuff. Like he's on the cover of a promotional book that me and my friend Brian had made about all our parties that we did. So when we go to bars, we pitched them like, this is what we've done.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the crowd, and I think Infinity was playing, and he's just sweating, fucking like going at it, dude. Yeah, super cool.
Did he have his
guy.
Viking hat on?
No, no
Oh,
Viking
okay.
hat. So we can talk about that. So we gotta take an intermission real quick. I gotta take a leak real bad. We got a ton of other stuff to cover. We've already been going for almost an hour.
So pour yourself a beer, sit
don't
back,
leave.
enjoy the conversation.
Don't leave. We'll be back in 1 second. All right, y'all, we're back. Sorry about that. Had to take a break. We've already been going for...
Nature calls.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so... Let's see. Oh, yeah, Star 95.5. That's what it was back then.
Before we begin...
Oh, yeah,
I want to just give a little toast. You mentioned earlier that you were very appreciative to Lauren and Brent, DJ Chaos, for getting this set up. So, this is a special occasion now.
For sure, dude.
I don't know.
You came out of wherever you were to do this.
Yes, and I don't know if there are any bourbon fans out there, but if there are, feel free to say something in the chat. But, there's bourbon. I mean, you think you've had good bourbon, but let me tell you, this isn't the gasoline you get down at the dive bar. This is Pappy Van Winkle, and this is This is straight from my reserve collection, man. So let me tell you, you are in the circle of trust, my friend. So
cool,
we're gonna pour you a little bit of this.
I'm excited.
Little bit of the Pappy. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of Pappy Van Winkle, but if you have, you're probably. Oh yeah, go for it, man. You're probably jealous right now. That is extremely good stuff.
20 years.
And what we need to do is we've got a little water dropper here. Little water. Yep, we do this high class here on the Mix Days show. Put a couple drops of water. Again, this is not the gasoline that you get at the corner dive bar. This is like stuff. Let me just get this out of the way right now. If God himself were going to make bourbon, Pappy Van Winkle is what he would make. That's for DJ Chaos.
All right. Cheers. Am I taking the shot? Okay, just sip.
No, man, we're more civilized than that. We sip it like gentlemen.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Oh
that's
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's got some burn to it.
Oh yeah. That's got a good burn.
It smells delicious though.
Oh yeah.
It smells really good.
Yeah, that's a wheated bourbon. The only thing is, I hope I don't get mugged in the street by somebody watching right now for my bottle of Pappy Van Winkle. It's one of those, and this is one way to kill the coronavirus, by the way. So.
Oh yeah, it's right up there with putting the blow dryer in your face.
Oh god. Only in Okeechobee could they come up with something like
dude!
that.
And he said that shit in a city council meeting or whatever. It was.
Hey, these are our leaders,
Okeechobee,
right?
dude, right?
Yes.
For sure.
So
Old Okeechobee.
So anyway,
well, thank you for that, man.
Oh, my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure.
That is some good stuff.
Oh, my pleasure.
Seriously.
Any opportunity to whip out Pappy Van Winkle, that's a treat for me.
What was the other one that you have?
Oh, that's also Pappy Van Winkle.
Okay.
This one is the 23-year-old. Now, this I as you can see, I have barely touched it, just because this stuff is extremely hard to get. It's so good. Let me tell you, if you have never had bourbon like this. This is incredible stuff. It has very little in common with. It has nothing in common with Jim Beam. I'll just put that out there. But not that there's anything wrong with Jim Beam. But when you have a special occasion like a podcast, only Pappy will do.
Yeah, nice. Appreciate it.
So anyway, salud.
Thank you, sir. Definitely got some burn. All right. So we got that. So let's talk about Barcode and 007 days.
Oh yeah, that was the Great Treasure Coast rivalry.
So I got to tell you just my Barcode story real quick. So when Barcode was popping off, I was like 16, maybe 17, right? And I remember hearing the Barcode commercials on the radio, and they played KC Escape.
Oh yeah.
That was the fucking song that was part of the commercial.
Wait, how's it go?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. I'll put it on the fucking record. And that's what I remember. And then one time I went, and I was just too young to realize what I was looking at.
Right.
So I'm in there, and it was all ages.
Right.
And I'm just like, it's cool. It's all right, but I just had no idea what,
Yeah, but you're 16. I'm at the club.
But to me, it was like, I was doing house parties at the time. Like, that's how I got my career. I was doing house parties. So I'm doing house parties. It was cool. And it was just so different than what I was used to, you know?
Right.
And I was like, and there was like some people over here, some people over there. It was like, it wasn't like you're all in one crowd, you know, doing the club thing. It was kind of like, and so it was just, I didn't get it. But now that I know, you know, I'm older at Barcode, what it was and things like that. So yeah,
there were a lot of great people that played there. I played there a few times myself. Sometimes as Slammin Shaun, and then there was this one, I'll never forget this one time. So I was a resident DJ at 007. 007 was an open format club, and that was the first club, I guess, for lack of a better, that was the first club I really played at. I was playing Thursday nights there. It was open format, which meant that I was playing top 40 and hip hop and techno and this, and that was a mix of everything.
Right.
And the club was owned by a guy named Joey Cataldo. Nice guy, got along very, very well with Joey. Across town, there was the Barcode, and the Barcode was owned by Frank Bianco. And anyway, Frank Bianco used to own the Playground, which was the club that was located where 007 was at the time. So Playground preceded 007, and it was owned by Frank Bianco. And you know, Frank Bianco's claim to fame way back then was that he brought the Backstreet Boys to Stewart. I mean, as a club gig. I mean, that was, you know, they went big time. Yeah, the Backstreet Boys performed at the Playground, which was where 007 was located. And eventually they called it ICE when it changed ownership again. But there was a little bit of a rivalry between Joey and Frank, and you know, good or bad. I mean, I worked for 007.
How often were you DJing at 007?
Typically once a week, sometimes twice a week. So I would typically be twice a week if DJ Lou on Friday nights needed a night off, or DJ Chaz.
So it wasn't
needed
techno
a Saturday.
club at the time.
No, it wasn't strict. It was considered open format, but techno was extremely popular in the late '90s. So there was a lot of that.
I've heard other people like Brett. He is one of the audio bots. He's come on here and said that when he was younger, like Infinity and them were at 007, and like they'd bring him in there and shit like that.
I mean, and you know, whenever we did a show like that, we had a variety of shows. We had local guys like Infinity. We brought in the freestyle acts, singers like George Lamond, Cynthia, Lil Susie. I mean, that was a big one. I was a big Lil Susie fan. You know, Take Me in Your Arms and all these other tracks that she did. So we had a lot of freestyle acts that came through, and then we also had, I mean, I think we had Rob Bass and you know,
really?
Yeah, we had a lot.
Damn.
And it was so cool being, you know, an open format club. I was oftentimes in a position to be able to go out and announce these guys and introduce them, and so it was really cool. You get to meet them, and you realize that, you know, they're just like you.
People, right?
They're just regular people, and but anyway, 007 was that was a good gig. I was there for a couple years. Open format style.
What year was this?
This would have been 98 to about 2000.
Were you playing records then, or were you playing?
No, it was CDs.
CDs, okay.
CDs. Yeah, I mean, I was playing CDs, and we were set up with a pretty good rig for that. Okay. But you know, I'll never forget my first night. It was my first Thursday night. I mean, any DJ that's playing for a club for the first time, maybe the DJs that are watching didn't go through this, but I will admit that I did. If you watch the movie 8 Mile, and in the beginning Eminem's going out to do the battle and he's in the bathroom, I mean, I wasn't throwing up, but man, did I. It was going out the other end. I mean, it was like the nerves really got to me, and you know, you hit a few of these to prime the gears, and you know, after a while you're in business.
Right.
And but yeah, I'll never forget that. And that actually went on, I'd say, for the first 3 or 4 weeks, man. I had such intense butterflies about doing it, because I didn't want to screw it up. You know, DJ Lou gave me a shot. If I screwed it up, that's it, you're out. And so so I was there planning my set, thinking about it. And Thursday nights weren't nearly as busy as what the Friday nights were. That was kind of the flagship night. But you know, the Thursday nights went well, and occasionally I got to play the Friday and the Saturday nights and have the big crowds, and I would cover for Lou at other places like the Jensen Ale House. You know, he was doing parties there, and a whole bunch of other places, and kind of cut my teeth in the club scene working through him.
Right.
He had a lot of good accounts, and for that I was very grateful. Yeah. The rivalry, though, that existed between Joey and Frank was kind of interesting. I don't understand. I don't understand rivalries to begin with. I don't hold grudges. I don't have a beef with people. I try not to live and let live. But there was a rivalry there, at least from Joey's perspective. I don't know Frank's perspective, but anyway, there was a rivalry there. And Jimmy, DJ Image, was throwing a party down at Barcode, and they advertised it with, you know, Slammin Shaun playing. And Joey got wind of it, and he threw a fit and basically said, "Look, if you play this gig,
Oh shit!
you're not going to be here anymore.
Wow.
And I mean, I had a residency, and there is some value in having a residency because you're getting paid every week.
Consistently, yeah, for sure.
And so but you know, I had made a commitment, and so what we did, I talked to Jimmy, and for those of you who know Jimmy, he's
I booked him.
okay. So you know he's just got big ideas, and
Yeah.
he's kind of crazy. So Jimmy came up with an idea. He said, oh, forget Slammin' Shaun, we're just going to call you Bitchin' Bob. So he comes up with this, you know, we're going to call you Bitchin' Bob. And I show up with one of those things from like Spencer's Gifts with the glasses and the nose and the mustache, so that nobody would know who it is.
That's awesome.
So I showed up and played my gig as Bitchin' Bob. So it was advertised as Slammin' Shaun. So whoever was there to hear Slammin' Shaun did get to hear Slammin' Shaun.
But you weren't announced as Slammin'
I was
Shaun.
not announced, and I don't even think they were announcing anybody. We were just there to play, and but that was just a funny story where I showed up and literally played with a pair of glasses, a nose, and a funny mustache.
Did you get fired?
No, no. Joey never found out.
Oh,
I mean,
shit. Because,
like,
I guess nobody that was in there actually saw that you would be the person that was playing.
No, I mean, if it got back to him, he never said anything.
Yeah.
But no, I never got discovered, and from Joey's perspective, and I continued my residency there. So it was just a little funny story, and you know, another little funny story. I'll never forget the time I was traveling with friends down in Costa Rica. And I was in the San Jose airport about to board my airplane, and I'm walking, and I look up, and I'm like, Jimmy! There's
Really?
I'm in the airport in San Jose, Costa Rica. You know, it's, you know, power kept going out in the airport, which doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence. But yeah, there was Jimmy, and I guess he was doing currency trading or something, if I recall, or at least that was the story he told me. And so it was just funny running. You know how often you run into a friend of yours down in a foreign country. So anyway, Jimmy was a good guy, and you know, that was his idea. Bitchin' Bob blew it up that night.
Yeah.
And it was good times had by all.
First and only appearance ever. Yeah. So I got a funny. Well, it's a Jimmy story. So I had booked him, DJ Image, right? And then before we had booked him is when I had Exotic E on my. We had booked him for a party. Jimmy was the first guy to play on the turntables at a show since I had Exotic E on the tables. And so he's playing, and like everything seems fine to me. And then he calls me up to the stage, and he's like, "Man, I think your turntables are fucked up." He's like, "The pitch won't fucking stay." And I'm like, "Shit, dude, I'm sorry." I'm like, There's nothing I can do. You know, at the time all I had was records. And so it turns out that he was the person who told me that basically my turntables were fucked after Exotic E had tore them up. Exotic E took the table. Turned it. He does this. I saw it on some videos. Turns it.
It's part of his show.
Props it on, and then turns the turntable off.
Yeah.
And then fucking takes it, and he's scratching it and doing the pin. I'm like, dude. And that was it. That was the end of my turntables at that point.
We can only be so lucky to have Exotic E fuck up our turntable.
Seriously, they're blessed. That's all I'm saying. They're blessed for sure. So you were talking about 007 was kind of like an open format thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your like musical styles that you play, because before I'll just be honest, I think the reason that I have these two CDs is because I probably didn't like them that much.
Good.
The Global Groove ones, I don't have one.
Right.
Because I played the fuck out of them, probably lost them, have the bootlegs and shit, but these, like, even though one of these is in pretty bad condition, the other one seems like it might be okay. I'm like,
yeah, those are in mint condition.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, like, they're okay. Like, they've been sitting in a book for a long time.
It's like baseball cards, man. You know, maybe they are going to be worth something.
And it's Transformer and Transformer 2. So it's like, I didn't, when I first started listening to you, I didn't know the difference between all the different styles.
Right.
The guy that I had worked with, Joe Wink, introduced me to breaks, you know.
Yep.
And I got it, but I didn't get. I was listening to like the vocal, not the beat.
Right.
So it was to me like I was hearing a lot of vocal breaks, and then when I'd hear trance, you know, it's like it's got the same vocal but different beat structure. I didn't really get that at the time.
Right.
So what was your musical style, you know, throughout the Global Groove series, the Transformer series, and things like that?
Yeah, so I wasn't defined by any style, and that's the way. I mean, there was styles that I liked better than others, styles that I felt were more me. the global grooves, I enjoyed them. I mean, I made those primarily for myself. It really just depended what mood I was in. I mean, it's like it's a little bit like whiskey. If you ask me what type of whiskey I like, I mean, sometimes I like bourbon, sometimes I like Scotch,
Right.
sometimes I like Irish whiskey,
Okay.
sometimes I want to put a cube in it, sometimes I just want to slam it if it's a bad day.
Right.
So really, you have to tell me what time of the year it is, what time of the day it is, what kind of mood am I in, what
Okay.
kind of. So music was a little bit like that for me, and you know, I came up in music through the piano. So
Okay.
my grandmother, who passed away in October, Nana, as we called her, she taught me the piano. She got gifted a piano for her birthday one year. I think I was about 10 years old, and she used to be a piano teacher when she was younger. And she started playing, and I thought, you know, hey, can you teach me that? So at an early age, at 10, I guess, I really developed a sound for music, and so
Okay,
I was
true
classically
that.
trained.
Okay.
She wasn't teaching jazz
So you
piano.
can read music?
Oh yeah,
True that.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
baby grand at home, and my kids take piano lessons.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So no, I play piano. I'm not that good anymore. Probably about as rusty on that as I would be on the CDJs.
Right.
But no, my grandmother classically trained me, so I grew up playing Mozart.
But that
and
explains
Beethoven.
your ear.
Right, and I think,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
certainly I'm not making this comparison, so certainly don't misunderstand. But Deadmau5 is classically trained,
Right,
and I
yeah.
think that
Oh, yeah.
explains why he is able to do
Oh
what
yeah,
he does.
no, dude. Some of the people that I've had on here, like, you know, some of them are classically trained producers, and some of them are not,
Right.
and they all make good music, but there's definitely a difference
Right.
between the two, and it does help with your ear. I mean, like that explains why when I was listening to your stuff, that your mixes were real tight,
Right.
Because you can hear, you know,
Yeah,
things
and
like
there's melodies, and there's a
And
lot
it-
going on. There's a lot of thought going on in there. That's
and
what people
feeling. And the thing about music is that when you're classically trained, like, you have the feeling for it, you know,
Right.
and the structure.
don't. Right.
So it's like when I was listening to your stuff from the radio show, it was like it's all like sounds like it's in the same key,
Right.
you know,
Right,
And
right.
you may not have known that because I don't think keys were a thing back then.
Harmonic mixing was starting to become a thing,
but
and
it wasn't like on the CDJ. Like, where
No,
could
what you would
tell.
do, what you would do is you would play a track, and if you had a keyboard, you would figure out what key it's in. Now you can, if you've got an ear, you can figure out what key it's in if you're listening to it. But that was the trick. And so I had some of my CDs labeled, and Eric was he was on the cutting edge of that too.
Yeah.
He was into harmonic mixing, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people know that about him. But putting the technical ability of matching beats aside, there's a whole nother level above it, which is
For sure.
harmonic mixing.
For
And
sure.
so if you're classically trained and you grow up listening to symphonies of the greats like Bach and Beethoven and Mozart and Tchaikovsky, you understand that when you're making this is not Mozart and Beethoven and
Right.
Tchaikovsky, but there is an element of you're taking this on a journey much the same way as a symphony. So there was a little bit. Is it perfect? No, of course not.
It matters, though. You
but
can
you
tell.
think about what key the music
Yes.
is in, because there's certain keys that play differently on the human emotion.
Right.
And especially if you're in an
Right.
inebriated state. There's
Right.
major keys, minor keys, augmented
Right.
keys.
Right.
And so I have that musical background, and so between that and the influences of listening to dance music growing up in South Florida, I kind of just put the two together.
Right.
And then when I went from consumer of music to mixer of
Right.
the songs that I liked, and I was able to just do it in a way that maybe whatever it was I was doing, I wasn't aware of at the time, but I was aware of how it made me feel when I was doing
You
it.
can hear it though. And so this conversation about harmonic mixing and matching keys and things like that, we have this all the time on here
Yeah.
with musicians.
Cool.
And it definitely matters because it changes how you feel when you're listening to the music. And so here's how far the technology has come with harmonic mixing. So Tractor is a DJ software that I was using before I got this fucking controller right here. Tractor 3, when it just came out, it added a feature where when you play a song, it will highlight songs in your playlist that are the same key for you to play.
Wow.
Next. Yeah.
Oh
right?
my God, that's
right? It's crazy, right?
I would have totally used that if I had
it's
that.
crazy, right? Because
I had to do it the old-fashioned way. So basically, you'd play a track and you'd run through the keyboard
Yeah.
and figure out That's
Yeah,
that's
I
the
never
key of
even
F.
did that. See,
That's,
I played
that's F major.
I
mean,
played
you know.
sax for 14 years. Never did that. I just used my ear. That this sounds similar. It sounds good. I could tell if a clash was going to happen between
Right.
the two. But yeah, that's cool, man. I would have never thought that about you. When I was listening to your radio show stuff on YouTube, I definitely heard you're in a similar key or the same key across tracks, but I didn't know you had that depth of knowledge about music.
Right. No, that's
cool.
It's
shit.
one of the
That's
misconceptions.
why we do this podcast.
That's one of the
is
misconceptions.
to find out shit like that.
How could a guy named Slammin Shaun have that kind of
But
depth?
it explains, dude. That explains a lot because your CDs were put together well. That's
Right.
one reason why
Right.
people like them so much was because you didn't go from up here to fucking down here in
Right.
a transition. Like it was a build or a wave. Like when I make my mixes, I always come in low. Build, climax, plateau, boom. It's a wave. It's a waveform, just like the analog waveform. That's how I do my mixes. I don't know if yours were like that, but
human beings respond to that.
right,
That's the way we're wired,
right.
and it's
I
just
don't play
embedded in our
straight
nature.
bangers the whole
No,
fucking
no.
dude. It doesn't work that way. That's cool shit, man.
Yeah,
true that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's yeah.
So you played all different kinds of styles. So what is your? Do you have a favorite style?
That's it's just like saying, like going back to what's your favorite whiskey. I mean, it really depends.
You
on
might
the
have
circumstance.
one though.
I do.
Yeah. But it's not like what's your favorite kid.
Right.
It's not that question.
Well, so I came up, here's my DJ progression. I mean, I started off doing the for a year. I DJ'd weddings, and that's show business. I mean, that is your understanding. There is actually a wave at place. I mean, I'm playing Kool and the Gang and Casey and the Sunshine Band and all of that, and then I'm dropping down to Kenny Rogers.
Right.
And
Yeah.
all that.
Oh yeah.
And I know, that there's not a whole lot of cool factor that goes with that. But the point is, you're developing your ability to understand peaks and valleys,
Right, for sure,
ebbing and
for
flowing.
sure, 100%.
And you understand. You understand the show, and you understand the show business, and you understand the emotion and how people react, and how you can hit them with a punch right here, and boom, they'll react differently than if you hit them differently.
It is good training. You're right about that, for sure.
So started off with the wedding, so I'm playing 70s funk and all this other stuff, and I'm just doing the EDM in my bedroom basically.
Right.
When I kind of transitioned into open format, that was a natural transition from weddings, because weddings are kind of open format.
For sure.
And as the weddings, later in the wedding, you get into the third and fourth hour, you might start playing more pop music and that sort of thing, and experimenting around.
And as the BPMs go up and shit like that.
And so there was a transition into the club scene where I was playing open format with some tinkering in the techno world.
Right.
And I kind of think of it like kind of a stand-up comedian. I mean, there was a podcast I had listened to a long time ago, and they were talking about stand-up comedy, and they said, well, what's the best advice you can give to any aspiring comedian? And that is to get yourself booked as much as possible.
Right.
You need stage time.
Right.
Stage time
for sure.
creates a positive reinforcement loop where you get to test out jokes, see which ones fall flat, see which ones work well, see which ones work well in a certain order and a certain structure, and when you kind of get that down, you kind of develop an instinct about it.
Right. Yep.
And so you can only do that if you get stage time.
The DJ intuition.
DJ intuition only comes when you get DJ booth time.
Yep.
And so I was getting DJ booth time at 007, and open format is, crowds tend to be more fickle. I mean, crowds on the Treasure Coast were more fickle. So I was almost blessed that I was up here, because I couldn't play the things up here that I was playing.
Dude, they want to hear what's on the radio.
Right.
Fuck, dude.
Right.
That shit pisses me off.
And so if you could figure out a way to weave in some of the stuff that we in the DJ community liked with the stuff that was on the radio, you were taking them to a new place. And I was able to weave that in, and I was kind of able to figure that out at 007. Eventually, my next residency was at the Liquid Room and Bliss.
That's
Palm
where one
Beach.
of these was recorded.
Yeah, that's where one of them was recorded.
Transformer 2, which I don't even remember what it is, what's on here, but it says recorded live at Bliss
Good stuff,
Lounge.
man.
Yeah.
The good stuff's on there. No, so I was heavily, being on the Treasure Coast, I think the Treasure Coast was more heavily influenced by the Orlando scene.
Yes, the Orlando sound.
The Orlando sound, the
For
Icy,
sure.
the Baby Ann, that sound definitely was predominant here on the Treasure Coast.
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I seem to gravitate more to the South Florida sound, the Miami sound, which was heavily influenced by Europe and the international crowds, the jet set and whatnot. So I really, really loved that European progressive house sound, that European trance sound. It reminded me of the classical music that my grandmother raised me up on, and I think that's why I gravitated toward it. When I began to branch off into that, I was a blasphemer up here on the Treasure Coast. I mean, I was going like, "What's this straight beat stuff?" You know. But that was what I liked, and that's what I enjoyed, and so I was lucky enough to get a residency in Palm Beach where you could play that sort of thing because they're close enough to Miami.
Right, they're open to it.
Right, Palm Beach is kind of like a little sister to Miami, and so they were open to it because many of the people there are clubbing down in Miami on the weekends and that sort of thing. So that's the stuff they're hearing in South Beach and places like that. So I enjoyed playing that sound. I enjoyed playing breaks as well, and I enjoyed playing old school freestyle.
You didn't answer the question, dude.
I know it's like a politician's answer.
Do you have, because I can say the same thing. So like, I like drum and bass. I fucking love drum and bass.
Yeah, me too.
I probably listen to drum and bass more than I listen to breaks. I have a small house collection. I have a huge open format collection because I played weddings and all that kind of stuff too.
Right.
But dude, breaks is my soul music.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but nothing like moves me like breaks do.
Right.
And even though some of the break songs are remixes of trance or house, things like that, the funky beat, that kind of thing, dude, just like it moves me. And I would say drum and bass is like number 2.
Right.
So you don't have one of those.
Right. No, I wouldn't say those are. I wouldn't say those are my tops. I mean, I really love late '90s, early 2000s trance music.
Right.
I love progressive and electro house, the big room.
Right.
The big room sound, the stuff that you'd hear at Crowbar back in the day in South Beach or Club Space.
Right,
I mean,
Space,
I loved that sound, and I loved the tribal sound.
Yeah.
I loved drums. I loved the dark beat. There was just everything about what I was hearing down in Miami just resonated with me. I mean, I remember the first time I went to Club Space was 2002. I'd just gotten off a shift at the Liquid Room, and the guy who was working the lights for me, a guy named Graham. We got paid at, I don't know, Liquid Room closed at 4 a.m. as the clubs do in Palm Beach, and we had to wait around and we'd have a drink and hang out, and we'd get out of there about 4:35 a.m. and he said, "Hey man, you want to head down to Club Space one day?"
They're just now opening. They're opening at fucking 7 o'clock in the morning.
And we went. I mean, they're just starting to blow up, and they'd open it up at 10 o'clock at night, and they had the inside room, but the patio was where it was at, and I just remember the first time stepping foot on the Space patio, Ivano Bellini was spinning, and they had a percussionist playing the drums, and I just had never seen anything like that. I mean, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, I saw that on your video for the Winter Music Conference.
Yeah, yeah.
You had the guy with the bongos out in front, and you were DJing.
Yeah, it was just stuff like that was fresh, and Miami's a very multicultural city, so you've got a lot of influence from South America, Central America, a lot of influence from Europe, so it was this great fusion of just all the best that the world had to offer, kind of integrating itself into one city, and
where Miami bass came from.
Yeah, right. I mean,
seriously,
Miami was just is underrated as far as music is concerned. I think, and I just think the stuff that I was hearing coming out of there just resonated with me, and it influenced me heavily, and I would bring a lot of that to the Liquid Room and Bliss in Palm Beach, and with the longer term aspiration of trying to introduce that to the Treasure Coast whenever the Treasure Coast was ready for that sort of thing.
Right. So I have a similar thing with that. When Brian and I, so we had Ants Don't Sleep, and we were doing, we were playing at all the bars and things like that around here. So my thing is reverse. I was an electronic music, a breaks DJ, transitioned into open format.
Right.
So I was always looking for something that had a breaks remix. Always. That was what I wanted. I didn't want to hear no fucking house. I didn't want to hear none of that bullshit, right? And for a while there was a lot of people that were making breaks remixes of the songs that were on the radio, which at the time was kind of housey. Like, this is like 2008, 2009, 2010. House kind of like got on the radio. EDM started to blow up, so it kind of got on the radio. So it was like you had big producers, big artists making housey tracks, and then people were putting a breakbeat behind them and stuff. So we could play stuff you hear on the radio, but it would have a breakbeat behind it. And that's what we got known for around here was that style of breakbeat on underneath basically a commercial, mainstream track, right?
Yeah, I love
it. That's what we were doing around here. All put out mixes for that, well, not CDs, but stuff on SoundCloud, things like that. All break.
You guys are more evolved than that.
There was no CDs. I wasn't doing CDs then.
I had CDs back in the Jurassic era.
Right when I was in high school, we were doing CDs and shit. So similar thing, trying to bring that beat structure, not so much the melody and stuff, but that beat structure into people around here who weren't used to hearing it, and it fucking worked. Right. It was great. It was great for a while, and then. Just got too fucking old for it.
I know. That's what happens, man.
Yeah.
Age catches us all.
Seriously, man. Like I was retired as well. I was retired until last year.
Need another whiskey.
You need a beer? I got beers, water.
Oh, I think I'm gonna try this other.
All right,
I brought two of these. You don't have to have the other one if you don't want, but I
have to at least try this.
Oh yeah. And while we're doing this, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
We'll check the chat.
Maybe I gotta see them first.
So, the other thing is, and I didn't make this announcement since the beginning. If you're listening to this from a page other than Mix Days, I'm not going to be able to see the chat. So, if you're on the Ants Don't Sleep page, the Ant Crawler page, the Support the Fort page, anything like that, get out of that and go to the Mix Days page and join the video there. That way I can see any of the comments. Because if you've been making comments, we don't see them. So it's just a Facebook thing, not anything we can do about it. So that's just how it is. Right. So we'll see
get ourselves a little water here for the bourbon. Now this is the 23-year-old Pappy Van Winkle.
All right.
This is
the same, just older.
It's the same. It's just a little bit older, and I'll be curious which one you like better. Salud, man.
Thank you, sir. That's definitely smoother, but it has maybe more of a burn at the end.
Oh, it's still got that bite, man. That bite that only bourbon can give you.
Yeah.
So
it's still got that burn at the end, but it is a little bit smoother. I think so.
Yeah.
For sure.
And feel free, if you're at home, have a drink with us. Pour out.
So, look, Chris just joined. Let's see. All right, let's see. Beth and Dave. No, we're not going to play tonight. We'll talk about that real quick. So, what would you think? And we'll ask you guys, everybody that's listening, what would you guys think about Slammin Shaun, replaying one of his CDs live on the stream sometime?
You didn't ask what I thought about it.
No, we don't care what you think. It's only the fans. We're doing this for the fans.
That's true.
We're doing this for the fans. So just yay or nay in the chat. We'll revisit it later. But basically, it would be Shaun doing a live stream, playing a CD or tracks that he has live, just doing a set, basically. But it could be a Global Groove recreate, remake, whatever they want to call that, an hour set. On the stream live at a date in the future or something like that. Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about that. Yay or nay in the chat. And then we will move on to the radio shows.
Yeah.
So I have a real interest in this because were you guys back to back with Dave and H-Bomb?
Yeah. I opened up for Scratch D and H-Bomb as far. Our show was right before theirs, and it was from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Saturday.
Okay.
It was simulcast 92.7, 101.7. So 92.7 was kind of Treasure Coast South.
Okay.
And 101.7 was Space Coast, into Titusville and that sort of thing. So they covered a lot of geography.
And you were playing live.
Yeah. Yeah, these were not premixed CDs.
That's badass, dude. That's badass.
Yeah, you.
So how many people are we talking about? Did they give you those numbers? How many listeners you had?
I had no idea. I had no idea. I mean, it was an FM radio station, and so I can only use my imagination. But I mean, it had a heck of a reach. I mean, it was a great promotional tool, and it was.
You were playing straight up fucking techno shit, like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no. So it was start. You know, our show was from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So
it was on Sundays.
I was playing a little bit of that global groove Transformer style
Right.
and some of the more vocal house. And then when Scratch D and H-Bomb would come on, they'd get into more of the funkier breaks.
Right.
So it was kind of a nice progression, starting out nice and easy.
Okay.
You know, so if you're at the beach, you know, listening to it, or you're in the car,
Right.
it's starting out, it's vocal friendly, it kind of gets you into the groove. And then when Scratch D and H-Bomb come on, they would get a little bit more underground. And I think after them, it was DJ Joshua, and he was really underground.
Okay.
So it got more underground as
Okay,
the
right.
shows went on
Okay.
during the day. But that was just a great experience, because you got to understand something. I mean, I grew up listening. I mean, I grew up a fan of Dave Knopfler. I mean, Dynamix too. I mean, they played him on the radio, Power 96.
I'm trying to get him to come on the show.
Oh,
Dave
gosh.
Knopfler, what's up, man? Come on the show, dude. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah, Dave, if you're out there, I hope you're doing well.
He's still banging it out, dude.
Is
making
he?
tracks.
Wow.
He's still making tracks.
Well, he was an absolute talent.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, people don't really. He is so talented. People don't even
He
realize
was a
it.
big thing in the Miami bass scene.
Yeah.
Did you
he
ever
was one of
see-
the pioneers.
You ever heard of the documentary? It's called The Bass That Ate Miami.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in there. There's a lot of familiar faces in there.
And then on your YouTube channel, it's Slammin Shaun for everybody who hasn't
Yeah.
heard me say that. It's Slammin Shaun, one word.
Right.
No apostrophe.
You know, this is like my personal page.
Yeah.
This isn't like a
It's got
a
some
DJ.
gems on it, though.
Yeah, it's not like my DJ page where I'm promoting
Yeah.
myself as a DJ.
Right.
It's got like my trips with my family to
Yeah.
Europe, and
I thought
you
it
know,
was somebody else
It's got
that
my
made it.
it's got my oldest son playing the piano when he's about
and it's
8
got
months old.
Some
I mean,
slideshows when you were trying to figure out how to use a computer and
Right.
things like that. It's
Stuff.
cool, man. It's
Yeah.
cool shit. But
Yeah.
it's got some gems on there. It's got the Refuge video.
Yeah.
And then it's got a couple of recordings from when you were on the radio.
Mhm.
And so
I really value those.
how
because
long did that go for?
I think the radio show might have been a year and a half, 2
Dude,
years.
that's
I mean,
fucking. So it was every week. Year
every
and a half.
week.
Did you get paid?
No, but I mean, it
Oh,
it was
shit.
pure. No, underground radio. None of us were paid. I mean, the
Okay.
guys working the boards were paid. They were employees of oh gosh, whatever the radio station name was, I can't remember anymore. But there was a company. But anyway, they were getting paid, working hourly rate or whatever. But no, we were all volunteers, but we were doing it for the promotional value. Because once I went on the radio, I was getting booked everywhere.
Oh yeah, dude. I definitely understand why.
I was, next thing you know, I was up in Brevard County all the time playing up
Lady
there.
Dragon.
Dragon Lady, yeah.
Dragon Lady. So this is funny, man. I heard that on the recording that you have.
Yes.
It has Dragon Lady on there. There was
Right.
a Dragon Lady reunion party a couple months ago.
Wow.
Infinity played, Magic Mike played,
Wow.
and some other people played, and I had Infinity on here. I think it was a couple weeks after he did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know Dragon Lady was the bar.
Yeah, it was a club
I thought it was
on
a party.
It was on Merritt Island, so it was beachside
Okay.
and near the O'Galley Causeway. But so yeah, there was Sanctuary. That was a big one.
Yeah.
I want to say I played up at Sanctuary with JD, who you just had on recently.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I ended up getting booked a lot of places, and that was really when I was most active. I kept my residency in Palm Beach, but I mean, you go in, you're making a pretty good mint, taking a cut
Right.
of the door, and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I was not getting paid
But it was
for
fun.
the radio. Yeah.
It was fuck. I bet that it was every week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. The only regret I have is I only recorded one show. It's the only show I
Yeah.
ever recorded. Again, at the time, while all of this was unfolding in front of me, I didn't value it the same way that I value it now.
Yeah.
Looking back, when I hear those recordings and I say, man, I wish I recorded every show
I
because
know.
wow, it's just so cool.
Yeah, dude.
My kids, they love it.
It's like pictures. It's
Yeah.
like pictures. Like I was never a picture person.
Right.
And then now that I'm older, I'm like, damn, I probably should have took some more pictures about shit that I was doing.
That's right.
Because before I was like, fuck that, I don't care. I'm not gonna give a shit about it in the future. Or stuff like that.
Time
Yeah.
has a funny way of making all things more valuable.
True that. Words of wisdom from Sir Slammin Shaun right there.
Yeah, where did Sir Slammin Shaun come
No,
in?
I
I don't ever remember calling
No, I know.
myself that.
I thought it would be funny.
Yeah,
That's all it
it
was.
is.
That's my little humor added to the live stream.
Thought I was gonna have to give you a British accent or
Yeah,
something.
no.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you were definitely popular enough to feel that I felt that you warranted that.
I didn't know I was popular enough for knighthood.
I didn't know that either until I listened to your radio show again, and then I didn't know you had 11 fucking global grooves. All those other, like, so how many? If you had just had to guess, like, are you talking about thousands of CDs went out? Like, how many CDs you think went out?
Oh. Maybe it was in the 10,000s. I have absolutely no idea.
So we need to get a hold of Ed, right?
Yeah, they weren't just sold at the treasure. I mean, they were sold all the way. They were sold at malls all the way through Brevard County and all the way into Palm Beach County.
So Special Ed is the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, that's Ed. He was a manager at.
So Brent, who is Special Ed, dude? Like, who is he? Is it Ed? I don't know who his last name is. We need to get a hold of that guy.
Yeah, and I feel I feel badly. He's a friend of mine, but I haven't talked to the guy in 15 years.
Or Lauren, somebody who.
I still remember McConnell. I still remember Matt McConnell's last name, but I don't know about Ed.
Well, maybe we'll work on that because I think I actually did like this CD, Special Ed See the Light.
Yeah, no, he did good. He was a hobbyist. I mean, he was. We were all hobbyists. That was the thing. We were all just we were hobbyists and enthusiasts.
Right.
And things just sort of happen by accident. That's just the way life is sometimes. There's a strange wheel of fortune at work, and
that's how it started for me, dude. I got into DJing just because I wanted to do it. Had nothing to do with any of this, and then I'm like, but I had been throwing parties since I was like 16, 17. So I've been throwing keggers since I was fucking young. And I took the DJ throwing kegs thing and then combined them and like started throwing parties at venues, so it just, and then now I have this, and it's like I transitioned out of that because of similar things as you. It's like, okay,
what's the next chapter?
And I've been working. I worked for the state for 13 years while I was DJing and throwing parties. So it's like I was doing the same thing, 40 hours, Friday or sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leaving work, going to DJ. Getting up the next day,
right,
dude, working that grind, I just got to the point where I get to be like 33, 34, and I'm like, I am tired.
Right. That's kind of how it happened for me. I mean, look, there are no health insurance benefits with DJing.
Yeah.
You work for the state, you're going to get good health benefits. You might get a 401k. You might
pension,
you
like
get all that stuff. Unfortunately, DJ, there's a lot of great things to it, but that's the disadvantage. You're an independent contractor. You're self-employed, and it's an extremely cutthroat business. Now, if you spend any significant amount of time in the DJ world, I can assure you are prepared for the business world, because no matter how cutthroat you think attorneys and bankers are, nobody is more cutthroat than other DJs and nightclub managers.
And bar
let me tell
owners,
you.
dude, they will fuck you over to your face.
Absolutely.
I've had bar owners try to fight me in the office because of an agreement that we had, and then the night's over and we're trying to settle up, and it turns into a fucking that's not what we said. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I'll beat your ass with a pool stick kind of shit. Like, dude.
So if you can handle that, I mean, once I went through that, I mean, the bank was a piece of cake.
Yeah, that's a good point, dude. I mean, maybe that kind of prepared me, because when I worked for the state, I worked for child support, and I was doing interviews all day, every day. Never phased me. Right. Ever, dude. Ever phased me, because I was like doing hardcore things with bar owners and working weddings, drunk motherfucker, all that kind of stuff, and it never even bothered me with a sober person who's mad about money.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I definitely understand that for sure.
Yeah, but the DJ thing can, be a pathway to a lot of careers. The skill set that you can learn in DJing is invaluable. I mean, because life. I mean, I think it was Shakespeare who said, "Life is a stage, and we're all players in it."
Yeah.
And life is just like that.
Yeah.
So
you
can.
Do you know Eddie Pultz? So Lauren says Ed Mead.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, I know Ed.
But Brent.
But no, Ed, I think Ed had a
different special.
We're gonna test Ed. See if we're gonna test him. Make sure he's the real guy. What was the nickname you gave me? There was a nickname you gave me, and
worked as his assistant for Paragon Entertainment and learned a lot. Okay, all right.
Well, we're gonna test his knowledge, because if this is the real Eddie, then he had a nickname for me, and we're just gonna see how good his memory is.
So everybody that's listening, we would definitely appreciate if you could share the stream, all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is one for the books, dude. Seriously.
Hey, absolutely, man. Looks
True,
like, you're ahead of me. Oh, man.
That's it, though. I can't
I guess Mikey likes it, So, no, that's cool.
It's good stuff. But yeah, share the stream, like the page. Just so you know, if you haven't tuned in before, what we do here is live streaming. Our motto is breaks, bass, and electro. That's what we do.
I'm sorry to come in here as a blasphemer.
No, you're cool. You're cool though because you played breaks. I mean,
I did.
You definitely played
I played
breaks.
it all.
I didn't even realize that you weren't only playing breaks until like later in life. You know, because I didn't really understand the difference. But so for people who haven't been in here before, like we do live streams, which is DJing, which would be we bring in DJs, I DJ. You know, we're playing sets. You know, on the broadcasting them to the internet, and then we do this podcast, which is we bring artists on, producers, whatever it may be, and we do this shit talking show about everything about DJing. You know, so it's fun stuff. Like we had the audio bots on here. We had Exotic E's Kid on here.
Yeah, I heard
with
about
Chad.
that.
Which Chad was in here earlier. I didn't get to give him a shout out, but he wasn't here earlier. I see Mike D's in here. Mike D with the Master Plan. I went to high school with him.
All right.
So did you see the Chad Exotic E Kid? His name is Eric, not Exotic E's Kid, but Eric show.
I did not see that one.
So,
I do plan to watch it though.
Very cool. What happened?
It's amazing what he's accomplished,
dude.
Yeah.
So
he comes from good stock. He's like the kid's like an alien.
I'm like, are you a prodigy? He's like, I don't know, not really. And I'm like, so can you just pick something up and start playing? He's like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, okay, you're a prodigy. So one of the bands he was in, it wasn't Paris. It was damn, I always forget the name of it. They hit #1 on Sirius Alternative Radio.
Wow.
And he wrote the synth lines for their song. Yeah, just that it was I think that week or the week before they were on here. They hit #1 on Octane, which is a Sirius XM.
Well, he deserves it.
Yeah.
He's talented. I the kid was destined to go someplace. I think he might have been 4 years old, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but he was on like the Sally Jesse Raphael show or something.
Really?
No, that's absolutely true. Eric and Francine were so proud of it. You can see them. They pan the audience, and you can see Eric and Francine in the audience. And what it was I guess little Eric was watching, I don't know if it was Sally Jesse Raphael or Ricky Lake. It was one of those shows.
Yeah, fucking Ricky Lake.
Yeah, it was one of those shows.
Nah, I forgot
and
about
so
that
he
show.
was watching a show from home, and there was a girl.
Fame on Fire. Sorry, that's what Brent said.
And there was a girl that was on the show, and maybe she had something, physically wrong with her or something, and she was getting bullied. And I guess Eric was at home and said, I don't understand. I'd like to be her friend. And so they called the show, and they ended up having a second show where they brought the girl on, and little Eric is on the show.
No shit.
And they said, and I'll never forget this, and I hope Eric's watching, because I mean this means something that I remember this. And whether he was 4 years old or 5 years old or whatever it was, they said, you really want to be her friend? And there was something wrong. You think she's beautiful? And he says, quote, yes, all God's children are beautiful.
What? How old was he?
Like 4.
What?
I mean, he said.
We didn't cover that on this podcast.
No, and I don't even know if he would remember that because he was so young.
Right.
But I'm
gonna bet
that.
after this. I messaged him and asked.
Yeah,
him.
I mean, Eric played it for me on a VHS tape, if you remember those. At his house, he was so proud.
Dude, he was super cool though, dude. Super cool, dude. He's in his 20s. I wanted to call him kid, but he's not a kid. He's in his 20s.
Right.
So it was him and then Chad, and they came on here and Chad, so I guess Exotic E he was inducted into the Scratch Academy Hall of Fame, and the plaque they had got broke. So what Chad did was he had the plaque remade and presented it to little Eric on the podcast, as like a, this is for your dad kind of thing. Super, it was fucking like, I wanted to cry kind of shit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Talk to Chad about his relationship with Exotic E, things like that. It was really cool. And then little Eric, dude, the man, awesome guy.
Yeah.
They drove up here from Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was really cool.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, it's on YouTube right now. So anybody who wants to check that out, it's Chad Romano, DJ Paranoia, and then Arceus. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, going back to the radio, I'll let whenever DJ Chaos comes into town and comes on your show, I'll let him talk to you about the radio. We eventually got kicked off the radio, so something he did, which he'll gladly admit to on your show. But it's kind of a funny funny thing. I remember one time, and it's interesting that we got kicked off for something he did, not for something I did. I actually dropped the F-bomb live on air one day. Yeah.
Shit!
Yeah, they didn't filter it out, so
Damn.
it was something I can't remember what it was. Something wasn't working right, and I just blurted it out, and
That would be me, dude.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
mean-
I dropped that shit all day.
and somebody listening called and said, "You realize you just said fuck on the radio?" I was like,
That's awesome.
and I didn't get kicked off for that, but I got kicked off for something he did. But actually, that wasn't even the first time I was on the radio.
Hold on. First of all, we got to take an intermission
Oh.
again. I gotta take a leak again because we've been drinking all these booze. So we'll be back in 1 second. Hang around. It'll only be like. All right, we're back. So
We are back.
We are back. Sorry about that. We've been sitting down for a little bit.
Well, that's what
so-
Pappy Van Winkle does to you, you know.
Right.
It's just
So we got that. We got some sailfish and some water.
yeah, support
So-
local businesses.
yeah.
They really, really need the business right now.
So do your coworkers know anything about Slammin Shaun?
You know, it's interesting. So I think I alluded to it earlier. I mean, I'm a banker by profession. Please, for the love of God, don't hold it against me. But yes, I am a banker. I am one of those guys.
You're one of those guys in the conspiracy theories that control
Yeah, I'm part of the Illuminati, and you know, I'm there personally masterminding the whole thing, and you know, but yeah, no, I mean, no matter, you know, I've been DJing since '98. I've been working in the bank since '97, and you know, it's one of those things I tried to keep under wraps, but you just can't. It's such a social job.
Right.
Somebody
is gonna know who you are.
I mean, I was working at Seacoast National Bank when it was known as First National from 1998 to 2005. And I'd be out at 007, and all the ladies, all the the managers and the executives from the bank, they're coming out to 007 to get their swerve on, and there I am DJing, and they're coming up, and it might have been a little awkward.
And
at
then
first.
on Monday,
they're coming up to flirt with
like-
the DJ, and
Yeah.
they're but I mean, it was just one of those. It was just an open secret. I mean, it never interfered with the bank job, and but I became an officer of the bank, a vice president title in 2003, and I think that was probably the first point in time at which I realized, okay, if I want to,
Right.
I can make a career of
Right.
this and have a very good life. It might be a very conventional, boring middle class life, but let me tell you something. It will, as time goes on, you'll recognize that it can be a very fulfilling one.
Right.
So I became an officer, a vice president of the bank in 2003. I was doing residential mortgages. It was funny. I remember I was working at the First National Bank at the corner of Port St. Lucie Boulevard and Bayshore Boulevard, where the Winn-Dixie Plaza is, and it's not open anymore. But I remember people would walk in, and younger people, and they'd walk by my office and they'd see me,
Yes!
This is a little
What kind of bank is
weird.
this?
Like, this is a little weird, but are you? I'm like, yes, I am. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, that. So
That's cool
it was just
shit.
something that I couldn't hide. And I remember one time I was working for Harbor Community Bank. And this was in 2012, 2013. Shout out to Mike Brown and Mike Brown Sr., Jr., and Hal Roberts, mentors of mine, local bankers who some of you may know. But anyway, I was actually out on a call with Mike Brown Jr., and he's an executive of the bank, and we were calling on a really big dermatologist. I mean, this was like an account that, we want to land. It's a profitable account, and this is every bank in town wants to bank this guy. And anyway, I guess when I showed up for the call with Mike Brown, a lot of the office staff recognized me. And anyway, the doctor himself said, all right, we're talking business, right? We're really deep, talking about finance and this and that. And he said, all right, look, let's just stop this right now. He just looks, he's like, are you Slammin Shaun?
Yes! That's awesome.
And I'm like,
That is so awesome.
I am, and Mike's over there. He knew a little bit about it,
He's
but
like, "Sign me up."
I don't think he recognized the scope of it or the following I had. And this is a multi-millionaire guy. I mean, this guy probably lives in a $10 million house. Everybody knows him, and he's like, look, my wife is a big fan. Do you think you might be able to get any of your old seat? And when he said my wife is a fan, I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or if he was going to reach
Right.
across the table and I don't know. But he said, hey, would you get me maybe a few of your mix CDs? She really loves them, and unfortunately they're old and they don't play anymore. And I said, and I just looked him square in the eye and I said, if I do that for you, will you go with us? And he said, absolutely.
Hell yeah,
I closed
dude.
deals.
Hell yeah, that's Slammin Shaun.
I closed a big deal
Fuck yeah,
with the
dude.
bank just because it was
Dude, that's
Slammin Shaun.
fucking... That's awesome.
It was crazy, but no, it was an open secret. It's everybody at the bank I'm with, now they all know it. It's just Google. I mean, look, what's that line in The Social Network? The internet isn't written in pencil; it's written in ink.
Right. Oh, yeah, for
I mean-
sure. But somebody would have to know to look you up. Because
Right.
when I looked you up, dude, there's not that much on there. There's some things,
Right,
but
right.
you were big
Pre-viral.
internet. Yeah, pretty much.
Pre-viral.
Yeah, so it's like the videos that people have are probably like hand camcorders.
Yeah.
Like it's not cell
It looks
phone
like an
shit.
Atari 2600 figure,
Right,
like
yeah.
a couple of buyers.
Yeah,
all
like the
grainy.
video that's on your YouTube page, dude, looks
grainy.
old as shit, dude.
Yeah,
It looks old
it
as
is
shit.
old
Like,
as shit.
It might have been my dad with the fucking shoulder cam.
All right, let's not go that
shit
far.
in the
Okay, come
80s.
on,
Yeah,
come
I
on,
mean,
come on.
So it's funny, like, because I thought there would be more, and
Yeah.
that's why I brought that up, because I thought when I Googled you, because I've never done that before. It just
Right.
during the time that I was listening to it with CDs and that time had passed. Never thought about looking you up since then. And when I did, I was like,
Truthfully, there could have probably have been more
Oh,
if
yeah.
I had been more of an attention whore
Oh, yeah.
and I engaged in more self-promotion. I mean, DJs are usually their own best self-promoters. I really wasn't. I was just,
Right.
like the 92.7 radio show, I wasn't even responsible for that. Somebody else set that up for me. I was never trying that hard. And, I
Yeah.
wonder what else could I have done if I had tried harder? Okay,
Right.
maybe I would have got sucked into the life a little bit further. But, look, my last public gig was Winter Music Conference 2007 at the
Yeah.
Chesterfield Hotel in
Yeah.
South Beach, Miami. That's good enough for me.
Right, yeah,
and
for
that was
sure,
it. And
for
then I
sure.
said, you know what?
Yeah.
What else am I going to do?
but you know what? I bet that your approach to it was part of the reason for your success.
maybe.
You know, because of the egotism and all that kind of stuff, wasn't there from what I'm hearing. Right. And so that was like, okay, he's cool. Because if you think about who you're interacting with, we kind of talked about this before, you're interacting with certain people, how they are, things like that. Dude, you don't want to interact with the asshole who's like full of himself, So it's if you're that guy who's cool about what he's doing, things like that, people are like, yeah, he's cool, he plays good music, let's do some stuff, make some things happen, stuff like that. So that probably contributed to your success.
It could have, and maybe there would have been a little more success if I had been willing to toot my own horn more.
Yeah, right. No, definitely.
Look, I don't regret anything, and like I said, I look back at it.
You definitely have a legacy.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
And even saying that doesn't, that's even hearing that's uncomfortable.
It is. And like I said before, I didn't realize how popular you were until I started researching and looking into this. I'm like, I know he put out some CDs, completely forgot about the radio show, and then the club thing, I actually really didn't know anything about, so I found your old websites.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. So, I noticed that you linked to ictv1.com.
Yeah.
In your advertisement.
That was the stuff that I could find.
Right.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, if you click on that link, it will forward you to the ICTV1 website, and it'll actually show you some studio time from the radio. And you can see Sean Herman in there, DJ H-Bomb,
Dave Noller looking
in there,
like 20 years younger.
Yeah, I know, right?
Seriously.
And DJ Journey is in there, Mickey Terrence, he's in there, he was one of my buddies. And then you see me. Now, if you actually look at this page, you're like, what the hell is Slammin Shaun wearing? Because it's like I'm wearing a tux.
You were wearing a vest. Yeah,
I'm wearing a vest and all of that. And the reason for it is that the day that ICTV1 came to the radio station, I was on I had a tight schedule that day. So I woke up, went to the radio station, played from 11 to 3. I was dressed and ready to go because I wouldn't have time to get dressed afterward because I had to go straight to the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach where I was DJing a wedding. I was still DJing weddings at this point, 2002. Yeah, I wasn't doing nearly as many, but I was still doing weddings for Paragon Entertainment. And so did a wedding at the Breakers, which, by the way, as far as if you're a wedding DJ, and that's like... That's the place.
I've stayed there.
That's the place you want to do weddings. It's absolutely intimidating and absolutely incredible room to play in. But once I was done with the wedding, I think the wedding started at 5. It went till 9. I had to get out of my clothes, and then I had to race over to the Liquid Room on Clematis Street, 313 Clematis Street. I even remember the address. And then I had to play from 10 to 4. So my DJ day started at 11 a.m. and did not end until 4 a.m. And there were a lot of days like that. I mean, I was working 3 nights a week there regularly, which is, you add that up, that's about 18 hours of DJ booth time. Yeah. So, it's I was working a lot.
That would explain why you're good and why you're so popular, because you're everywhere.
You're working a lot. I mean, I think the more you work, the better you get. Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the comedy club analogy. Yeah. I mean, you can go out, try jokes, try this. It falls flat. You discard it. Well, I'd go out and I would try tracks instead of jokes. I mean, I would try tracks.
Some of them clear the floor. Some of them are fucking bangers.
And then you made note of that. And then being on the radio was really valuable because you play tracks on the radio. And if the phones started blowing up, you knew you had a track that you needed to hang on to. So I was actually the radio and the club was informing my track choices for later Global Grooves and Transformers and all of that.
Let's talk about the buzz.
Oh yeah. So 92.7 ZZR was and 101.7 was not my first radio show. First time I was ever on the radio, and I was really nervous, was 103.1 The Buzz. So way back in the day, going back to like 2000, they had Buzz Electronica on the weekends. A guy, DJ named Jitterbug, was the host of that show, and he had on electronic DJs. I'm sure he probably had Infinity and all these guys on. The evening that I was on, there were 2 of us. There was myself and DJ Blade. Now, he was a local breaks DJ, and that was his shtick. Jason Crockett. So Jason,
I know him.
You know Jason Crockett? Yeah. So Jason
I
Crockett,
didn't know he was a DJ, though.
Oh, man, the guy was awesome.
Damn. No, I knew him from a while ago. He would come to the parties and shit, but I didn't know he was a DJ, though.
Oh, back
if it's the person I'm thinking of.
Jason Crockett, and he had a younger brother, Sean Crockett, who I went to high school with. But Jason Crockett, and it's a funny thing, I knew Jason Crockett when I was in high school. So, fun fact about Slammin Shaun, when Slammin Shaun was in high school, he drove a lowrider with reverse offset McLean wire rims.
Oh shit!
Yeah, oh yeah. And I had the boom in the back, the JL audios,
Nice,
and all of
dude,
that.
nice,
But now
nice.
you didn't
That's
ask me what the car was, but you know,
It's an S10.
no, it was a 1987 Hyundai Excel. So the rims in the system were worth twice the car.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, but that's how we rolled in
Yeah,
Port St. Lucie
yeah.
back in the day.
Yep.
So anyway, Jason Crockett had amps, precision power amps that
Yep.
would power your speakers, and I bought one off of him through his brother. That's how I met him. But later on, he became a very good DJ in his own right, playing Florida funky breaks and electro and that sort of thing. And he and I were invited to play on 103.1 The Buzz. He went first, did his set. The difference between The Buzz and 92.7, though, was 92.7, they allowed us to play live.
Right.
So everything you heard is legitimately live.
Right.
And sometimes you could tell that it was live. I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody's perfect.
Right.
But 103.1, The Buzz, required that you pre-record your set.
Right.
And he had done funky breaks and electro. I had pre-recorded a very, very underground European-style trance set.
Okay.
And it was my first time on the radio. I knew that it broadcasted into South Florida, so I figured there might be some positive reaction to that. And man, it was just so overwhelming. It was actually humbling. There were so many calls coming in. This is a great mix.
Yeah.
I mean, did you record it? And everybody's thinking it's live.
Right, and you're just standing around taking calls.
I'm just
You're
standing around.
it's like a telethon.
That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
I'm taking
yeah.
calls, and you're basically I'm working at 007, an open format club. So here I am playing underground trance on the radio, and they're asking me like, where do you play? I'm like, well, I play at Club 007, where I play remixes of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Whitney Houston. I mean, and some
I want to dance with somebody,
and some Juvenile and Master P. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the so it was a little bit of a disconnect there, but that was the first time that I got to broadcast something that I truly felt passionate about, and to have all of the phone calls come in. There were a lot of people I knew that called in. They were like, "Oh my God, man, this
Yeah.
is great!" And
What was the show called?
it was called Buzz Electronica.
Was it Sunday morning?
No. It was either Friday night or Saturday night. I can't remember. I think it was Saturday night. But DJ Jitterbug, and I have no idea.
Okay.
He was very well known for drum and bass. You'd love it.
Okay.
But he had a very good personality for radio.
Yeah.
So he was a drum and bass guy, and in the electronic scene,
Right.
you don't find a lot of personalities that are good for radio.
Right, for sure.
I mean, they're very
For
good.
sure.
They're very good technicians,
Right.
but
Yeah, dude, they're not, like working the mic, things like that. Like that's not my skill,
Right.
Like this is like outside of my comfort zone. Seriously, doing shit like
well,
this.
you couldn't tell. I'm sure everybody watching would
It's
agree.
taken me a while to get to where I'm comfortable doing this. So, but the chat. So let's look at the chat real quick.
Yeah, what
so
do we
Larry
got?
McCormick. Oh, what's up? Exact. That's the guy I was talking about. We
Oh,
booked at
cool.
Refuge
What's up, buddy?
at one time. Let's see. My sister. Oh, there's Chelsea. Fucking Chelsea. She said we should do a Q&A. No, we've been saying that. We've been taking questions the whole time. So let's see what we got here. We got Brent. We got Jose. Okay, so Jose, I think he said that's when we were down and we had VIP at Mecca. So yeah, 2007. That was when I was telling you I was down at Winter Music Conference with Jose, Joe. That was my friend. We had a hotel room together and shit, and that's what that record bag was from. So
Yeah,
but I don't
that's
think we didn't see you though. I didn't see you.
No,
down there.
I guess
We
you
saw,
didn't make
but
it to the
yeah.
Chesterfield. It was a good
Yeah,
party. I mean,
yeah.
it was, it was fun. It was just your typical South Beach hotel lobby party, and I was
Yeah.
playing the music that I like, and and that was.
Is this Eric? What's Eric? Is that Eric?
Chocanis? Yeah,
Is that him?
That's him.
That's Exotic East Kid?
That's his mother's maiden
Dude,
name.
what's up, man? Dude, we've been talking about you like the whole time we've been on here and wondering if you were going to make it in, and now here you are. So you missed the good stories.
Yeah. Eric, type into the chat box so that we know that
Yeah.
that you can hear us, because I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what I was talking about earlier when he was a little one. I'm just curious if he actually remembers.
We
that.
heard you were on like Ricky Lake or
Sally Jesse Raphael or
Raphael.
something.
So yeah, hit us up.
If he
Let us
doesn't know what he's talking about, I'll have to remind him. But
Yeah, no. Some people go into the chat and then they're
And they
in
put
for
it
a
on mute.
minute. Well, they're in for a couple of minutes and then they leave. So I can't tell. It's hard. I
No.
can't tell if he's in right now or not. So
No, that's all right. But yeah, there's a lot of great stories, a lot of just fun times, and I think by the time, so I was at the Liquid Room from it was 2002, 2003.
So what kind of club was that? Let's talk
So
about that.
that was
yeah.
House and Trance. It was, so the Liquid Room was the Palm Beach version of the Liquid Room that existed in South Beach, Miami.
Okay.
So
didn't
it
know
was
that.
trying to
Okay.
do a South
Okay.
Beach, Miami
Okay.
vibe, and it did
Okay.
it very well. So
Okay.
you walk in, there's incense.
Some
and
of the
lights
pictures
and-
that were on that website were from there.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
and
okay.
Bliss was very much the same way. That was a
Okay.
little more edgier, a little more underground. And then there was a VIP room in the back called Cream, and that was like, it was all white. Everything was white. Had big crystal chandelier, and that was kind of the VIP room, if you will, and just a wonderful room to play. I played a lot of sexy,
It was on
jazzy
Clematis?
house.
Clematis?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, right on Clematis. A lot of sexy, jazzy house, and it was very loungy. So there was a lot of different styles depending on. It was all the same owners. So Bliss was a little edgier, a little more underground.
Shit. Okay.
Liquid was kind of the big room sound, the big trance, the big house, and then the back room was more of the soulful, sexy,
Okay.
loungy type house. And I played all three rooms, so it was
Right.
kind of cool because on Thursday I played in Cream, so I
Okay.
played the low, kind of a down tempo type thing, and that sexy, jazzy, loungy house. Head Candy comes to mind, if anybody's familiar with the Head Candy series. Gosh, who else?
Did we
Jazzy
cover
Jeff
your
people.
other series, your other CD series?
Oh, Transformer. I mean, we didn't
Yeah,
really
we only
talk
talked about. No, we didn't. We skipped that. Oh,
I
damn,
know, well, that was
we
a big
skipped
one.
all of fuck, dude.
Well,
So-
Transformer was a little bit like what you would have heard at the Liquid Room. That's probably what you. Now that's stuff that that wasn't played for the radio. That was played for the club.
yeah,
I
this
mean,
so Transformer 2 is recorded at Bliss.
That
Lab.
was recorded
okay,
at
so
Bliss.
yeah, let's talk about that. So I can't believe we fucking skipped over that. So Global Groove was style wise and intention wise, like what was that?
that was a blend between crossover breaks, crossover trance, meeting somewhere in the middle. It was just a fun dance. It was
Okay.
just popular dance
Okay.
stuff from Florida that was unique to Florida.
Okay. All right, and then so Transformer was
That was-
I don't remember anything that's on these.
That
CDs,
was
so.
those were more of the big room crossover trance hits.
But it was trance.
That would
like,
have
it
been
wasn't
on the
breaks.
radio. Yeah, that was straight trance
Okay.
music, 138, 139 beats a minute, straight
Okay,
beat.
Okay.
And that was what I was playing in the Liquid Room. I mean, that's
Okay.
so. The thing was, I know that wasn't everybody's cup of tea up here, but down there, I had packed dance floors
Right.
for it. And so
right.
that
no,
was
trance is huge. We're like worldwide.
Worldwide.
So, do
It
you
had
know
a
anything
global-
about Twitch? You ever heard of Twitch? So Twitch is a video game streaming platform that Amazon bought. That's how big it is, right? And so if you play video games and you want to stream it like we're doing right now, you stream it on Twitch basically because that's the biggest platform.
Oh, okay. Is that
But
like
there's-
like Roblox and all this stuff my kids watch, or
Possibly,
Okay,
yeah. It could-
okay.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
8 and 4?
They
so
play video games?
Yeah, Roblox. so-
Okay, so could be. And so there's a music and performing arts section, right? And there's a bunch of DJs on there.
No kidding.
Probably the most popular style is trance.
Yeah.
And then it's like hard house after that, and
Yeah.
then it's some
Well,
other
it's got a
shit.
global
So, yeah.
appeal,
Yeah,
and I
seriously,
know
yeah.
locally speaking, it was never obviously
No,
breaks was
no.
dominant
Right,
and that sort
right.
of thing. But going back to I was heavily influenced by South Florida as opposed to Orlando, so that's kind of what I gravitated
right.
to. The
Yep,
you
for
know
sure.
you can hear all the trance synths and you can hear classical music in those.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the Tiesto stuff was just brilliant.
And European guys, which I learned this from drum and bass, which I'm making a generalization here as
Sure.
to maybe these guys that do the trance stuff. So drum and bass guys, a lot of them are classically trained.
I did not know that.
So, like, when you listen to, like, Liquid and things like that, so, university, it's free over there, right? Everybody goes to
Right.
college. So you have these guys.
Free.
Yeah, free. Right. Right. You're taxed like a motherfucker, but you get college. Like, right.
That's all right.
So, you are in university for music, right? You're playing piano, guitar, everything, right?
Right.
But you're choosing to create or make electronic music on the side. And drum and bass is one of those things where these guys are doing all this classical music, but they're choosing to make drum and bass on the side. So you have this extremely rich, deep, like, perfectly formulated drum and bass that is like, you're like, damn, this is deep shit.
That's
you
well
know?
said.
Yeah,
That's well said.
Deep shit, and I didn't know that until I started listening to those guys over there. Not the American guys. This is the European. So
Right.
maybe trance, like trance. I get what you're saying. The melodies, like, it's very. It could be similar to classical style. I get what you're saying.
Yep.
It could. They might be classically trained, and that's what they're choosing to take their skill and apply it to.
Yeah, and then the trance sound, the trance sound had its heyday. I think late '90s, early 2000s, kind of started to fizzle out, and it did get replaced by the house scene. I mean, that Miami house sound is probably that's kind of where I ended up, and that's probably the style that was my preference when I stopped. That's where I ended. When the gig I played in Miami was all house, and the gigs that I played at the Refuge in 2006, that was all house.
Miami
music.
loves house.
I'll never forget this.
They
actually,
love house.
I felt bad. I mean, because you want to play for the people, and they're there. They paid money to see you. And when I did the first Refuge show in 2006, there were quite a few people who came to hear breaks, and I came to play house. And so, I get it. Actually, there was one girl, I guess she got drunk enough, just literally walked up to the G booth and she shot me a middle finger. I was like,
This is a global groove, motherfucker!
I know. It was, but that was where I was, and I had, oh well.
No, I get it. I mean, dude, that's the sign of, like, you have an evolving sound.
Right.
I mean,
right.
that's great. That's great. You're moving with the times, things like that. You're taking things that may not be here yet and bringing them up here. I did that with dubstep. I have this claim.
Love dubstep.
I have this claim, and I don't have a way to verify it, but I had never heard dubstep up until this point. So I went to Future Sound of Breaks, 2007, maybe 2008, something like that. Dubstep wasn't on the map anywhere in America at all. Mm-hmm. Future Sound of Breaks had a dubstep arena outside of a warehouse party. They had Ciro and Vega subwoofers that were this tall that you could lay inside of. People were laying inside of them, right?
Nice.
And this is like Scream, and I forget the other guys. They're playing fucking records, right?
Uh-huh.
Because that's how those guys were doing it at the time. I go down there and I hear this shit, and I'm like, this is it. I'm like, this is the shit. So I played at Element one night. It was actually the only time I played at Element. My closing track was Scream, Going In For The Kill, which was one of the most popular dubstep tracks that ever made it into the States. Nobody had ever fucking heard that shit before, and when I was walking out, people were like, what was that? Like, what kind of, like, I've never heard music composed that way, like, what was that?
Yeah,
And then after that, it slowly picked up here and shit like that.
You're bringing up Element. That brings back a lot
let's
of
talk
memories.
about Element,
I mean,
dude. That's on the list.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I helped open Element. I wasn't a manager or an owner or anything, but Krunal and Anuj Patel were the owners of Element, and they built a beautiful lounge. And I think what their vision was, they wanted to have something that was comparable to Blue Martini.
It was nice.
Yeah, they wanted to have kind of a Blue Martini in Port St. Lucie, and they thought that the time was right for it. And they sought me out. They found me, by talking to a lot of people. They said, "Oh, go find this guy Sean," and that sort of thing. I had absolutely no interest in DJing. This is like 2009 by now.
Yeah.
I think 2008 the concept for Element was formed, but I think it opened in 2009. I never DJ'd at Element. I worked for them for about 3 months as a host.
Yeah.
I mean, by this point, I was done with DJing, but I was still interested in kind of keeping one foot in the scene.
Right.
And the idea that there would be this Blue Martini style lounge coming to the Treasure Coast, my home, was very appealing to me. Where I could show up, wear a nice shirt, throw a jacket on, buy my friends a drink, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That we thought that maybe it was ready for that vibe here. Maybe not quite. At the end of the day, we're not Palm Beach. We are what we are.
Dude, we're right there, man. We're so close.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We are what we are, and that's cool. And there's a lot of beauty in who we are. But I think I think it started out with hey, look, let's try to be Blue Martini, and it was just too upscale. The door, the dress code was too strict at the door.
It's too future, dude. That's what I say.
Right,
it's too future.
And they eventually eased it up. And but anyway, it was just a really cool place. And so I started out just helping promote it and being a host. And so I got to be Slammin Shaun party host, which was kind of cool.
And got paid for that shit. Didn't have to DJ.
No, I go around. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It was a nice place. That was a really nice place. I only got to play there once, but when I played in there was probably 500 people in there.
Yeah,
they weren't letting people in.
Right.
It was a 4th of July thing, and it was JD was there.
Yeah.
And it was I think Doug was there too, and Booza was there.
Nice.
And like I said, I brought a crate of records. And not knowing, because I was still in the electronic music realm, I had not done any kind of like top 40 open format stuff, I'm thinking there's going to be some turntables there.
Yep.
You know, turntables, and it's going to be fine. And then I walk up to the DJ booth, and the guy who's standing there, he's like, it was that crate right there. He's like, is that a crate of records? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, holy shit. And I'm like,
can I take a picture of it?
yeah, seriously. And so I'm like, yeah, dude, I brought some records, and I couldn't, obviously couldn't play them. They didn't even have a monitor speaker.
Wow.
It wasn't that kind of like DJing
Right,
experience.
right.
It was more of you just play with sync, and that's it. Like,
That's it.
Yeah, that's what you do. So,
Yeah,
but super nice place. Hung out there a lot of times.
Yeah.
They definitely tried hard to make that.
Yeah,
happen.
I would have liked.
Yeah.
I like those
Yeah.
kinds of play. I don't like going out to that kind of place all the time. I like every once in a while. I want to go to a dive bar and hey,
Right.
put the Jim Beam on there. And I just want.
Yep.
But there's sometimes where I want to dress up a little nice, have a date night, go out, have a
right.
nice loungy
They
feel.
had a humidor in there.
Yeah, they had a humidor. Yeah.
It was a cool place.
And that was what they were really trying to go for.
Yeah.
I just think we just don't have the density of population of people who are into that sort of thing, or have
Dude,
the
that's what
money.
I say. No, it's population density, dude. That's exactly what I say. Like, when you think of like the places that have those types of clubs, it's not like
It's
have
a metro area.
They don't have 1,000 people. Well, I guess if it's big enough, they do. But they might have 200 in there. But they have a city of 500,000 people to get that.
Right.
200 in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're
We
starting
don't
off
have
with
that.
a county of 200,000 people. It's a little, it's gonna.
Right. You're gonna get like 50, something like
Right.
that. That's why it's never like popped off. And that's my opinion about what has happened around here is they have these big ideas of bringing these things up from down south or even up north, concepts, but they're bringing them from Orlando, which has millions of people in it.
Right. In order for
that.
that to work here, you've got to bring the population with you.
Right, dude.
And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
I think
we just don't have that.
I think you can
population.
weave it in. Like I said, you can. Whatever works here, you can weave in. Play 2 or 3 for them and 1 for you.
Right.
You
right.
Can,
yeah.
you can do
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's,
That's why I like around here. I like small rooms.
Yeah.
Like when I was playing over at Public House, dude, it only held, the capacity was 100 people. So it's like,
that's cool. That's
from
perfect.
the stage front to the door is a solid wall of people, though. So it's like, it doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you're in a club of 5,000 people or 200 people, dude. If you have no wiggle room at all, dude, that's the crowd you want. Like you can work them. It's a great time. So that's the kind of stuff I like. And around here, if you have big rooms, dude, they just don't fill them like that.
No, and at least if you have a room that fits 100 people, you can make it. I mean, it looks like it's full.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's,
100 people is really like 200 people over capacity.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not really 100 people. It's like 150, 200 people. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
No. Well, let's see if there's any other
Yeah,
questions.
no. So
down
we
here.
have we had one asking if you still have decks at your house. So we already talked about that, but
I do not. I have not owned DJ equipment for the better part of a decade. I still have all my old CDs, but and I think I still have headphones. So I have headphones and I have
they're
CDs.
probably falling apart though, dude.
But there's been a few times where I've gone on eBay just to see what just for the heck of it, but I never do it. So yeah, I mean I don't play publicly and I don't practice at home either. It's
Right.
just
We're gonna work on that though. So
We'll see.
If he's got CDs,
We'll see.
we can definitely pull them onto a.
you won't make a fan with my wife, but you'll
We can bring her up here, dude. Bring her up
There
here.
you
You can
go.
bring your kids up here too.
oh yeah, we'll
Seriously.
get them on the decks.
So
right?
JD brought his wife and his kid up here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
cool.
So no, dude, definitely, man. It would be awesome. So,
Yep.
but other than that, I mean, Denver. We got Denver
I
in
see
the town. We
Denver's
got
on
we
there.
got Denver. What's up, Denver?
He's got all his trans
Lauren,
vinyl.
yep,
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Nice.
And
Nice.
then Jose. So, but we can wrap it up, man. We have been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes. That's a record on the show. And
All
we
right,
went through. I wrote.
Got
I have-
anything left, man?
I have
Well,
DJ Cove Love.
let's see what that says. What do you got here?
I don't know. I don't know what that one says.
DJ Love.
No,
Or-
DJ Cove, DJ.
yeah, don't know.
Don't
know what that one
I
is.
don't know.
No, I think look, I think the big thing is I never. It's interesting, the whole time I was doing whatever it was I was doing, I was almost completely oblivious and unaware of it. I knew I was working. I was dialed in.
Right.
I was playing. Clearly there were crowds
Right.
there. Clearly I was making a few bucks off
Right.
the CDs. But, at the end of the day, I tried to stay as grounded as possible. some days we're more successful than others. Sometimes you can begin to believe your own BS.
Right.
But I really, I tried to do the best I could, because people were spending their hard-earned money to go, pay for overpriced drinks and overpriced door charges and overpriced CDs, and the least that I can do is hopefully give them some value for their money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all I ever set out to do. And
I can understand it, though. If you're working that much, dude, you're not out. You don't have time. You're not out, like, seeing your influence from the outside in.
Yeah.
You're living your life,
Yep.
especially if you're in a bank all day, most of the
Right.
day. It's like you're not seeing all that. But it would tip you off if occasionally people are like, motherfucker, you're Slammin Shaun, what the fuck, dude? Like, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's cool shit. Those are cool stories.
But
So.
I really do appreciate you having me on. I really
Dude.
appreciate all of you that really supported me over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, here I haven't played publicly in 13 years, and just the fact that anybody would, just like Global Grooves when they said, hey, look, do you mind if we sell these? And I said, who the hell would want to buy this?
Right.
I mean, I was thinking, well, who the hell would want to tune into this? So once again, I'm pleasantly surprised to be wrong. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, it was my pleasure. And if anybody wants to know, you can't find him on social media. So don't
That's
even
right.
don't even try to look for him, because he's not there. I already did it.
I'm totally off the grid. No Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter.
Nothing. So he's not there. So don't even try. He
Yep.
definitely fell off after he stopped DJing, which is cool, man. That's cool.
No,
dude.
listen. I mean, I really do believe that life is like a book, and that was a great chapter of my life. And I'm not in this. Don't misunderstand that I'm coming off judgmental against those who have social media. Hey, listen, to each his own.
No.
It's not for me, and
Right.
I don't need it. My wife has it.
It's
and
less
she keeps,
distractions, dude.
Right.
Seriously.
And I've moved on to other things and other projects.
It keeps you focused on what's in front of you, not all this other stuff that's going on and like that you have no control over, know nothing about.
Right.
So it's cool.
So who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe someday I pass on what I've learned to my kids the same way that Eric passed on what he learned to his kid.
Right.
And
Well, it sounds like they're involved in music, right?
they are. They both play piano.
There you
so,
go, dude. So you've definitely done your job, because that will influence their life forever.
Yeah.
For sure. Music is definitely something special. It's a special gift.
Yeah, I
to
just
give
want
to
look, man.
anybody.
At the end of the day, I'm just like all of you. I just want to leave the world a little bit better
Yeah.
than what the way it was when I entered it. So,
Nice, dude. Good closing words from Slammin Shaun. So we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna work on something in the future where Slammin Shaun could possibly come on the stream and play some of his jams, and that will be announced in the future if it happens. Otherwise, though, dude, the podcast is always here. We can do this again. We can talk shit about all kinds of stuff, whatever we want, like philosophy, all that stuff. I'm cool with that, dude. I'm all about it. So we can definitely make that happen again. And I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Cheers.
For sure. And thank you guys for tuning in.
To you.
And this will be on YouTube probably in about a week. And we definitely appreciate the support. And we'll see you guys on the other side.
Have a great night. Happy
All
Easter,
right.
everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.